with, I'd like to call the roll call of the commissioners. I think we have 6 present. Commissioner Ho, are you present?
Oh, sorry. This is Josh.
Josh, sorry.
That's okay. President, if we want to wait just 1 minute, it'll be 1:35, and then we're all set for both agendas at the same time.
Oh, okay. I thought we had to do one, then the other. Okay,
I think we can do them together.
perfect.
And just for everyone watching, we have 2 simultaneous agendas today. There's the usual general meeting agenda, and then we have a separate special meeting agenda with just a few other items. We're going to get through everything, but just the way this is set up legally, technically, we've got this sort of second meeting going on at the same time.
Okay, it is officially at 1:35 p.m.
It is 1:35 now, Commissioner Scarpano, if you want to kick us off.
Great. Good afternoon and welcome to the Los Angeles Cultural Affairs Commission meeting. Today is November 9th, year 2022. I am Alyssa Scarpano and I am the president of the commission. As permitted under Assembly Bill 361, all commission members are teleconferencing from remote locations. Also consistent with Assembly Bill 361, all public comment will be taken telephonically. I'd like to begin with the roll call of the commissioners. Commissioner Ho, are you present?
Present.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Paquette, are you present?
Present.
Great. Commissioner Jimenez?
Present.
Great. Commissioner Jefferson?
Present.
Commissioner Vincent?
Present.
And I, Alyssa Scarpano, are present. So I think that is 7 of us, right? Correct? If I'm, we have quorum, the first order of business. So I think, Josh, did you want me to reiterate that we're doing 2 special commission meetings at the same time?
I think we've covered that. It's okay.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So the first order of business is, do we have any neighborhood council representatives who would like to speak?
For those of you joining telephonically, press *6 to unmute yourself and *9 to raise your hand. And currently there are none at the moment.
Thank you, Scott. So we'll move on to the next agenda item, public comment on non-agenda items germane to the business of the commission. Are there any, Scott?
There are none in the current meeting right now. And once again, if you're joining by phone, press *6 to mute yourself, *9 to raise your hand so that we can address you. And I do not see any at the moment.
Okay, great. Thank you. So then we'll move on to the next item, public comment germane to the agenda items.
There are none at the moment.
Okay, super. All right. So the next item is approval of the minutes. So these are from the September 14th minutes. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or comments on these minutes? Okay, I see no questions. So do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the September 4th, 2022 commission meeting?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Vincent. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Commissioner Paquette. So we'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Ho, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson?
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez?
Yes.
Commissioner Paquette?
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So the meeting minutes are approved. I will sign these and send them back to you. So the next item is, I need to read this paragraph so we can continue teleconferencing meetings. So findings to continue teleconferencing meetings pursuant to AB 361 action item. Recommendation to adopt the findings and determination in accordance with AB 361, Section 3E3, that while the state of emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as originally proclaimed by the governor on March 4th, year 2020, remains active, and or state or local officials have imposed or recommended measures to promote social distancing, this legislative body has reconsidered the circumstances of the state of emergency, and that the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of members to meet safely in person, and or state or local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing. So this is an action item. Is there a motion to approve this item?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Vincent. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. Do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Ho, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Burkett,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
and I, Commissioner Scrofano, also vote yes. So that motion is approved. So now we're moving on to the architecture submissions. The first project is the LAX Midfield Satellite Concourse South project. I think Daniel Sneed will be presenting, and Tammy, I should probably have you do the introduction.
You're on mute, Tammy.
Tammy, you're on mute.
Hi, yes, I'll do the introduction and then I will pass it to Daniel Sneed from LAWA, and then it will go to the design team. So this is the Midfield Satellite Concourse South project, which is a southward extension of the Midfield Satellite Concourse of the Tom Bradley International Terminal at LAX. The proposed project is a 2-story structure without a basement that will add 8 additional gates. And here to speak on behalf of the project from LAWA is Daniel Sneed. Daniel, could you please unmute yourself?
Thank you, Tammy. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Daniel Sneed, and I represent the Airport Planning Unit at Los Angeles World Airport, LAX. Good seeing everyone again. It's been a while since we last presented the LAX project to you. Today, we're here to present 2 projects currently under development at the LAX Airport. The first project is the LAX Midfield Satellite Concourse South. This project is a new extension of the existing LAX Midfield Satellite Concourse North, which was approved by the Cultural Affairs Commission in 2016 and has been operational for the past 2 years. The LAX Airport Planning Unit has reviewed this project for conformance with the LAX design guidelines that were approved by the Cultural Affairs Commission in 2017. The LAX Airport Planning Unit also supports this project, which we will be requesting approval for both conceptual and final review. Please note, this project was designed by the firm Woods Bagot and not Gensler, as listed on the agenda. So here to present the LAX Midfield Satellite Concourse South is Principal Architect Rick Gunther with the firm Woods Bagot. Go ahead, take it away, Rick.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for taking the time. I'm going to be talking about the Midfield Satellite Concourse South, our newest project at LAX. I promise to keep it.
Rick, can we get, sorry, just 1 second. Can we get the
Sure.
timer on? So presenters, you will have 10 minutes to present.
So let me know when you want me to start.
Sure, sorry about that.
No worries.
There you go, go ahead.
And I was about to say, I promise to be under 10 minutes because I understand that's the criteria. So I'm going to share my screen. And everyone can let me know that they can see my screen okay?
Yes, it looks great, Gunther.
Okay. So this today we're going to talk about the site overall. We're going to talk about the site access to and from and the project site plan. Then we're going to go into the building design. First going over the program, make sure we cover artwork opportunities, lighting plan, roof plan, elevations with materials section to get a sense of the scale, and then the typical signage. So the project is located at LAX, of course. In the middle, we have the double-decker ring that we're all used to around the central terminal area. The terminals are numbered 1 through 8 going around it. Of course, at the end of the U is the Bradley International Terminal, heading towards the ocean, as Daniel described, as the recently completed Midfield Satellite Concourse North. And our project is the extension immediately to the south of that. One of the things about the context that we're working on is, of course, we're at LAX. The Bradley Terminal immediately to the east of us is one of the key points. The Midfield Satellite Concourse, which is immediately to the north of us, is the other key segment. Here in plan is the recently completed aerial view. One of the key features that we're going to be dealing with as we go forward is the American Airlines Super Bay hangar, which you can see over here to the right. And this is, again, now I'm standing in the south looking up towards the north at our site. This will become important as the way the building is organized, and we'll explain that in a minute to get around it. So one of the key features of this project is that its front door, as it were, is through the Midfield Satellite Concourse North. The way the building is accessed is there's a tunnel from inside Bradley Terminal that gets you underneath, and you come up into a large receiving hall inside Midfield North, at which point you walk on the second level concourse over to our new south area, or you might arrive by a bus from another terminal, and they'll be coming down across on the taxi lanes, and there's a bus terminal inside that same central area. So again, all of the vehicle and all the pedestrian traffic to our project comes through the north and comes through the interior. What this means is our project doesn't actually have a front door per se. We're an extension on an existing terminal that already has a front door here in the middle. So in detail, the way our plan works is now north is to my left. Up top is the Bradley. This is the underground is the tunnel coming up, and this is the central receiving hall I was speaking about. This is the Super Bay hangar, and you can see why this becomes important. Our terminal comes out, it turns to head east, and then continues to the south so that there are room for the aircraft to load. We can't continue straight because the hangar gets in the way of all of the airport operations. And so that was one of the key design drivers for us in figuring out a segment that moves north and then moves east and then heads over to the south. So the building itself is a straightforward 8 gates. There is one apron level, and that's the ground floor. There's no basement. And on the ground floor is mostly back of house materials. There is a small baggage makeup area, and then there's some overhead space where we connect to the existing building. And then these are the bridges that are serving the gates that the aircraft are coming up to. Our total building size is a little bit under 150,000 square feet. The apron level is slightly smaller than the concourse level. Floor 2 is it has a 10-foot overhang on both sides. The concourse level, which is where all the passengers will see and experience the space, is connected at the level of the main concourse on the north building. We pass through kind of a bridge segment. There's some small bit of concessions, and then you get into the hold areas. And this looks like most other airports you've been in. There's the small seating area, and then a bridge that gets you over to the aircraft. Again, the summary is 150,000 square feet and only 2 floors, no attic, no basement. The artwork opportunities inside our project, we've been working with Cultural Affairs. We recently got some comments back that they're happy with how it's proceeding. So we have large kind of linear segments along the main passenger walkway. These are expected to be kind of gallery or mural type arrangements. And then the green dots are individual commissioned art pieces. In some cases, it might be the support for a performance piece, or it might be a physical piece. So they're gathered around here, which is an outdoor terrace on the building, and another one on the south, which is an outdoor terrace. So one of the key features on the building is that we are using what we call the LA modern design. Oh, sorry, I skipped one. Lighting, my bad. So the lighting is extended around the perimeter. It is all down lighting on the overhang. So there's no architectural building lighting, because again, one of the key features is our building does not have a front door. You can't walk up to it. You can't drive up to it. So the lighting is just around the perimeter, facing down to provide support for the work crews that are servicing the aircraft. The roof plan, we have very little rooftop equipment. Most of the air conditioning is on the apron level in mechanical rooms. There's the cooling tower that's in the central part of the terminal, provides hot water and cold water to provide air conditioning and heating to our space. We have some small areas of rooftop where we'll have fans and whatnot for the bathrooms. Those will all be screened on all 4 sides at a screen height that is minimum height of the equipment that's inside, so that it's not visible from the outside. The elevations, the style of the building is what we call LA modern. It's really representative of the current, mid-century architecture that is famous around Los Angeles, that has everything to do with interior to exterior views, simple use of materials, horizontality, very clean and straightforward. So this is the terminal in the back of the existing, and this is looking straight at the south end, and then the long piece. You'll notice that there's a rhythm of repeating elements. And each one of these has what we call a brise soleil, which is a fan piece that sticks out and provides sunshade to the interior. And so that way we can shade the interior and provide a comfortable interior while still allowing views to the outside instead of through tinted glasses or curtains. All of the segments are nearly identical. And so there's a piece in between that is the service segment that provides the access to and from and some mechanical. And then each one of the hold rooms is the 140 feet by about 85 feet wide. The interior is clear through the inside. It features small bits of natural wood, mostly aluminum, mostly glass, and mostly terrazzo. The overall building height is a little under 32 feet. So it's about 15 feet to the main concourse level, and then another 16 feet to the ceiling, and then there's about 5 feet of interstitial. So up the parapet is around 32 feet. And as we talked before, all the equipment on the roof, the fans are perfectly screened. The only signage on the building is just the gate identification. So each one of the gates will have a number, and they're numbered 237 through 232. The exterior materials on the building are aluminum, glass, and what we call blackened steel, which is a coating that is applied to the aluminum. So on the upper level, the blackened steel is aluminum. These are aluminum pieces that have a powder coating on it. It's a champagne color. The glass is clear. We have a mesh screen around the rooftop equipment. The roofing, the roof itself and the flat, is a TPO or vinyl white cool roof. And then the bottom level is concrete block. It's not really visible from anywhere, so it's a natural concrete block that's just sealed to stay clean. And then the segments in between have a blackened steel, black color aluminum standing seam. This is a view looking back towards the new building. So this is our extension to MSC North. So what we do is the transition between, we use the same materials as the North. So we have silver metal panels. In the bridge segment that connects the two is a transition till we get to our building, which is more on the champagnes and blacks and clear. The same materials are used on all sides of our building, except for the part that connects to MSC North. This is a view looking at the inside corner here. So glazing to the inside, metal panels, and then this is a representation of the screening shade that we were talking about. This is the terminal in the back. So this is MSC North. So our extension will have the same glazing, same mullions, same silver tone metal panels as the main building itself. And then this is the last view is looking back towards the building here. And you can see that the interior light is what's covering it. There's spill out for servicing the equipment. And then these are the brise soleil shades that are kind of going across and keeping track of the building. That's all I have. I want to make sure I stay on point and stay on time. It's a simple and straightforward building. And I want to make sure I have time for questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Rick Gunter, for your concise presentation. It's beautifully laid out. I just wanted to take note that Commissioner Gallardo is attending. So I think I have to call a roll call vote for you. Commissioner Gallardo, are you here?
Present, apologies.
Thank you. So nice to see you. So I would like to open up to see if any of the fellow commissioners have any questions or comments. Commissioner Jefferson, do you have any questions or comments?
I actually like the design and really appreciate the fact that you tried to keep it going with the spirit of the airport and the look. My only question was really around the maintenance of the exterior materials so that they continue to look crisp and fresh, as opposed to faded and nobody thinks they need to clean them. Because without that, the whole design starts to fall apart. So that was my only comment, but otherwise I love it. Thank you.
We paid attention to that. We have that same exact concern. So all of the glass is set to the outside, so there's no window sills to collect dirt. It comes down clean, and all the metals are powder coated, not anodized. So powder coating lasts better in the UV rays over time. Anodizing is that aluminum that gets that kind of powdery look over time. And so we were very thoughtful about that. So none of the dark colors are painted. They're all powder coated, which is a chemical bond to the metal for the reason that you described.
But it would require some level of a assumption that it's got some sort of, like, rinse the dust off of it.
We do expect that they need to be cleaned periodically, yes. It doesn't rain here often enough to keep the dust off the buildings, yes.
I mean, normally that's not our thing, but I bring it up because you've gone through such trouble to come up with such a great contemporary plan. And if it's not maintained in that, then it just sort of looks like it won't work. So that's all. That's why I wanted to put it on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. Commissioner Fouquet, do you have any questions or comments?
No, I think it looks fantastic. It's really great. I appreciate the effort that's gone into it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gallardo, do you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Jimenez?
None other than, it's just, it's very beautiful. It's sophisticated and modern, and yeah, it looks really, really nice. Really nice work, but that's about it.
Thank you.
Great. Commissioner Vincent, do you have any questions or comments? He might be on mute. Vice President Ho, Commissioner Ho, do you have any questions or comments?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Vincent, are you?
There we go.
There you are. Do you have any questions?
I really like it, particularly because it's reminiscent of the renderings that are over Commissioner Scarfano's shoulder.
Yeah, a little different, but yeah. Thank you. And I also wanted to extend, I think the presentation is beautiful. I love the materials. I appreciate that you indicated where the public art location is going to be. We appreciate that a lot. And I love that there's very few rooftop units, because I think what everyone forgets is, like, when you land at LAX, you're also looking down on the terminal, which is so important. But yeah, and the rhythm and the break between the pods, it's very beautifully executed. So thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. And by the way, I think I was remiss. I was supposed to ask for conceptual and final. I think I forgot to say that when I started. It says it on the agenda. I think I was supposed to say that out loud.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll reiterate that. So
I have a question. Commissioner Jefferson just has a question. When we get ready to vote conceptual and final, it's the approval of the outside. It's an understanding that there's locations for the art on the inside, but it is not necessarily an approval of the art that's going to go on the inside, correct? Okay, I see nodding heads, so I assume the answer is yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. So on that note, do we have a motion to approve LAX Midfield Satellite South Concourse for conceptual and final? Commissioner Jefferson, I think you moved.
So moved, yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Paquette. So do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Ho, how do you vote?
Yes.
Great. Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Paquette.
Yeah.
And I also, Commissioner Scarfano, vote yes. So the project is approved. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next item on the agenda is also a project at LAX. It's Laura Automated Traffic Surveillance and Control Hub relocation. I think Daniel Sneed, you will be presenting this one also. And this project is both for conceptual and final approval. So Tammy, do you need to speak or?
Yes, I have a brief introduction to this project. So due to the development of Concourse Zero, the existing LA Department of Transportation ATSAC hub in the basement of the old Lawa Police Building will need to be relocated. The new hub will be located within the Lawa Parking Lot C. And here to represent Lawa is again Daniel Sneed. Daniel, if you can unmute yourself.
Thanks again, Tammy. So the second LA project that you'll be seeing next is the Automated Traffic Surveillance and Control Hub. It is basically a relocation of an existing equipment control room from one area of the airport to another. The LAX Airport Planning Unit has reviewed this project also for conformance with the LAX design guidelines, and we support this project and we'll be requesting approval for both final and conceptual review. This project was designed jointly by ARUP and HOK. Next to do the presentation is Justin Wortman, the architectural lead with HOK. So go ahead, take it away, Justin.
Thank you, Daniel. Let me share screen real quick.
Sorry, hang on one second. Can we get the timer on the clock?
And it's saying I can't share screen. Apparently it's been disabled for me. Perfect. All right, is everyone able to see screen?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Fantastic. So thank you for the introduction, both of you. So again, going through the project team real quick, we are going to request both conceptual and final approval today. We have a brief presentation of the project, and then we will have a moment at the end here for questions. So the LAWA project team is Bear Sarkis. The contractor has not been selected at this time. ARUP is both the engineer and project lead. HOK is the architect, and I'm here today on behalf of HOK to present the project to you. As was mentioned, there's an existing ATSAC hub kind of roughly right here where the existing airport police facility is. Obviously, Concourse Zero necessitates that being relocated. So we found a site just a little bit east of Sepulveda, north of 96th Street, which is pretty convenient. We'll zoom in here for a moment, explain why that's a convenient site. So this is actually very close to some existing utilities, which are quite critical, including the stormwater system, some LAWA utilities, as well as the existing bus depot, which is located right here, which does shield the site ever so slightly from the 96th Street view corridor. Moving in a bit further, so this shows the area of work, and you can see that bus depot right here. It's worth noting that this bus depot is decommissioned. It's no longer in use, and this parking lot here, which is an employee parking lot, is also largely decommissioned. There are about 40 spaces that are currently available for EV charging for employees, but the majority of the lot is currently not in use. As you can see, so we're looking at a total site area that's going to be disturbed of about 1,700 square feet. The ATSAC hub height itself is about 10'6". There's a screen block wall of 8 feet around it. It's worth noting these are all kind of DOT standards that we're following here. These ATSAC hubs are actually located all over the city. The unit itself is 152 square feet, and it is important to note that this is not a staff location. No one reports here to work. This truly is an automated facility. Regarding access, so there's a couple different points of access. For DOT access, we have a means to come in from 96th Street down here, or from Jetway Boulevard up here. For emergency access, what we're looking at doing is taking out about 20 feet of existing K-rail and replacing that with these glued down channelizers that would allow for emergency access vehicles to get through. Looking at the site a little bit more in detail, so you can see here how the prefab hub sits within the kind of overall enclosure. It's also worth noting that the hub and the enclosure itself is offset from the existing depot building by about 14 feet. That was quite purposeful because there are some existing utilities on the back side of this existing depot that need to have access maintained. So we couldn't go directly against the building. We had to offset a little bit. Looking at the site, this shows kind of the extent of disturbance for the construction. So again, not touching any of the vertical structures. This is all just flat work. We are going to trench and repair to existing conditions. Looking at removing about 7 parking spots. Again, this is a largely decommissioned lot, so 7 out of 280 is really not impacting anything. The one thing that is worth noting is that there is a tree currently right in this area that unfortunately does get removed as part of this program, and we are offsetting that with landscape, which we'll discuss in just a moment. So looking at some quick views, again, just trying to maintain that, we're really keeping this low key from all the view corridors. So the first view coming across here from the LA City Bus Depot, looking from 96th Street, or looking from within the parking lot itself. And we'll go through kind of quickly what these views look like a bit larger. Again, you'll see we are painting out that blue block wall to match the existing bus depot. That's purposeful to try and, minimize the visual intrusion to the site. You can see here the landscape that is put in place with the protective bollards. Scrolling through these views kind of quickly, again from 96th Street. We also considered what this would look like from the new APM. So this is a view from that guideway. So again, from this location, really trying to blend this in with the existing bus depot as much as possible. Here's a nighttime shot showing, again, using architectural downlighting, making sure that the space between this hub and the existing bus depot is very well lit. Just again, realizing that 14-foot gap is going to be tempting for some. Here's some additional dimensionality that shows how the plan lays out, as well as some elevations and sections. Additional details and dimensions for you. These are photographs of an existing ATSAC hub, just for reference. This is the exact same hub that we're proposing to put in this location. And again, showing that landscaping. So one thing that we were able to do here from a sustainability standpoint, again, in light of removing that tree, is to do a pretty robust landscaping plan around it. And more importantly, we have a dry well here that's actually sized to accommodate 3 times the amount of water runoff as required by code. And so that will be a benefit for the surrounding surface parking lot, that some of that water, which would traditionally just go directly into the storm system, can now actually be pulled into this dry well and re-infiltrated back down into the ground. Regarding signage, pretty minimal signage. All of it meets the existing LAWA design standards. Flip through here pretty quickly. And the last bit here is just to acknowledge that, again, there are standard colors for all the LAWA signs, and we will match all of those colors to the existing standards. And with that, are there any questions?
Thank you, Justin. I'm going to open it up and see if any of the fellow commissioners have any questions or comments. Commissioner Gallardo, do you have any questions?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Jimenez?
Not at this time, thanks.
Commissioner Paquette?
I really appreciate the lighting at night. I know that it's not always there for people, and I just want to point out how great it is that you've really paid attention to that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jefferson, do you have any questions or comments?
Ditto Paquette, and appreciate the blue shade.
Commissioner Vincent, do you have any questions?
No.
Commissioner Ho?
None.
And I also will second what my fellow commissioners have said. It kind of makes sense now. I think I was a little confused when I looked through that. Actually, the blue matches the depot color, and yeah, it's pretty concealed. So I don't have any questions or comments. So on that note, is there a motion to approve the LAWA Automated Traffic Surveillance and Control Hub relocation for both conceptual and final?
I move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Vincent. Do we have a second?
Second.
I don't know who that was, but Commissioner Gallardo, I think that was you, right? Great. Okay, we'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Paquette, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Ho,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallardo,
Yes.
and I also, Commissioner Scarfano, vote yes. So congratulations. So we'll move on to the next item, which is item number C, the San Pedro Plaza. This is back for final approval. I think Tammy, you'll probably do a little introduction, and I think David Leake will be presenting from HOK. Is that correct?
David Wang from BOE will first present, and then it will go to the design team. So the San Pedro Plaza is a renovation of that seeks to create programmable space for the residents' use and to enhance connectivity and access. The space can be used for live performances, a farmer's market, or celebration displays that the residents and tourists can enjoy. This first received conceptual approval on May 13th, 2020, and there were two concerns from the commission. One is the water use of a fountain during a time of drought, and the second concern was broader community inclusion. And here to introduce the design team and give a little bit more background is David Wang from BOE. David, could you please unmute yourself?
Yes, thank you, Tammy. Can you guys all hear me? Okay, great. Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is David Wang. I'm the project manager with the Bureau of Engineering Architecture Division. So I'm here today with the design team from Gensler as well as Brightview to present you the San Pedro project, which is currently known as the Pepper Tree Plaza for the final design approval. So as Tammy mentioned, this project was first presented back in May of 2020, and the commissioners had two questions about the design. So the design team will address those questions during the presentation. Well, so one thing I do want to say that is this project is important for the community. When the Council of Districts Office 15 first approached Gensler for concept design to renovate the existing Pepper Tree Plaza, they envisioned a design that would create a new community hub for the local residents and beyond. So approving this project will represent an important milestone that allows the project to move forward with construction to fulfill that vision. So with that, I'd like to turn the presentation over to the Gensler team. JT, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. JT Thewas. I'm an architect with Gensler, and I need permission to share my screen, please. There we go. So, as David mentioned, this is Pepper Tree Plaza in San Pedro. It's been a few years now since we've showed you the project, and understand there's a few new members of the committee, so we want to give you a reintroduction to the project, discuss what's changed since the last time you've seen it, and address the new and prior comments of the committee. The existing plaza is here just north of the 1928 San Pedro Municipal Building, which is a registered LA Historical Cultural Monument. And the site in yellow is about 1/3 of an acre, and the cross streets are East 6th Street and Harbor Boulevard in San Pedro. And we should mention that this is considered, one of the main pieces of public non-commercial open space in the area. And here's the existing conditions. It's a fairly underutilized plaza right now. There's a large green raised area here and a few somewhat flat spots here and here with 5 riser stairs going down. There's a steep grade change from the back of the City Hall Municipal Building from 28 feet down to 6th Street and Harbor Boulevard corner, which is at 18 feet. So there's a 10-foot grade difference here, which makes you can see it here in the photo on the right. It makes it quite difficult to utilize for different kinds of events. There's a few more views of the existing. There's also this Wall Street path is what it's called, up against the building that connects Beacon down to Harbor. And you can see some of these views here of the planters. The grass is raised up. There's some shrubs here that are blocking your view in and out of the plaza. Those are the existing conditions. So we showed you this last time, but these are the results of our community meeting. And there's a lot of text here, but I just want to concentrate on numbers 3, 4, and 5, which are, we asked, what brings you to this area? And 60% of the community respondents said that, we like to go there for community events. So they want to have programmable space to have community events. And 4, if you do not visit, why don't you visit? And 36% said because there's a lack of things to do, a lack of opportunities. And another 36% said, well, they feel unsafe. And in our opinion, that usually means because there's a lack of people in the plaza, in addition to safety features like added lighting and things like that. The number 5 here, you see what types of activities would you like to see in the plaza? There was a lot of different responses, from live performances to pop-up markets, cultural festivals, food vendors, holiday events, and art installations, among others. So they really want to have a space where they can program a lot of different kinds of events year-round. And I'm spending a few minutes on this slide showing you our current design. There's a large open flat plaza in the middle of the site. And to the west, we have a number of cascading concrete and wood and planter steps and seating areas. And to the east, we have a steel shade trellis with movable tables and chairs underneath, with great views out across Harbor Boulevard into the harbor, seeing the large ships go by. And to the north, we have 2 low impact development planters, which are gathering our stormwater, and a small fountain in the center there. And to the right, you can see our principles that we've had ever since we had our community meeting, and we've used these as touchstones all the way through the project. And we wanted to make it simple and flexible. Again, that large open flat space where you could have yoga and Tai Chi classes and farmers markets and holiday tree lighting and all that kind of great events year round. We wanted to enhance the connectivity and the access. We tried to open up the 4 corners of the site and have people pass through and activate the plaza as much as possible. But also, number 3, create reasons to stay. So we wanted to have shaded, nice wood bench seating over here near the overlook and the shade trellis, and have a nice focal point of the fountain to create reasons, in addition to all the programming, to have people come and stay at the plaza. We wanted to create links to the community. Right now, there's a few time capsules and artifacts and monuments scattered around the site. For this plaza design to work, we had to relocate them. So we've organized them neatly at the overlook, and I have a slide to show you that in a moment, to maintain that link to the past. And then last, we wanted to make sure we were strategic and economical. It's not a large budget for the project, so we didn't want to add anything to avoid costly features, and just have a minimal but elegant palette of durable materials for the plaza. And just to show you what we showed you last time in May 2020, this is the plaza design then, and I'll flip back and forth a bit so you can see the difference. It's very similar design that we've carried through. 2 things of note are, we've dialed in the elevation even better, where before we had a few steps here and here to get into the plaza because of the grade change. We've actually managed to make it flat, ADA access here, all the way through, and ADA access out the other side here. So we've managed to dial that in, and we've, as I mentioned, we're keeping this existing Wall Street path. It's a 1928 building, and we don't have a lot of information on the foundations. We don't want to have to excavate up against the building and try to match, historical materials. So we've decided just to leave this ramp in, which we actually think creates even more access in and around the site. And here's our rendering, our 3D vision. You can see the cascading concrete steps and planters, the shade trellis, our planter and fountain to the north, and then that Wall Street path near the existing historic building. And then a view of the previous rendering we showed you and the new rendering. Again, we're emphasizing the fact that just minimal changes since the last time. Here's a diagram showing, before they have 1,800 square feet of flat, almost flat plaza space to do their events, and now a much more open, programmable area. We like this diagram because it really shows how you really had to find that nice elevation to make everything work to where you had flush access in the corners and a few risers on this end, and then the cascading steps on the other end. We've upgraded the lighting. In addition to the existing light poles, there's a few new light poles and then some specialty lighting, including these Tivoli string lighting for events. We're going to illuminate downward under all the handrails and illuminate downward underneath all the bench seating. And the trellis has some sconces on it and some specialty lighting along it. Sorry, here's a image showing how we've tested the programmable area for things like holiday tree lighting, 200-person concert, or a small farmer's market. Here's a highlight of those cascading steps in concrete with the wood. Here's a highlight of our low impact development planters and our modest fountain, which acts as a focal point for sitting and gathering. It masks the acoustical street traffic noise, but it's modest in size, so it doesn't use a lot of water. We don't have any upward spray. We have a recirculating pump to minimize water waste. And we think that the sculptural nature of this fountain acts as a focal point when water use may be restricted. Here's a relocation of those artifacts and monuments. We've taken them and gathered them all up here in the overlook, shaded area that's quiet, a place for contemplation and to enjoy the different artifacts. And then for landscaping, we have a Mediterranean plant palette, all drought tolerant species, a lot of grasses, some rosemary, and we plan on using some bougainvillea for the trellis to add additional shade and color. And then last, our material palette. We were planning on using a Kansas limestone for the paving in this warm sand color and augmenting that with some patterning with a Flint Hills gray. And then these black spots that you see here are actually the frosted glass illuminated pavers, which add another lighting source for that ground plane. The rest is all standard gray concrete planters. We're going to use a board form to make it interesting with some Acacia wood seating. And then the railings will all be a brushed stainless steel. So with that, I'll say answer any additional questions you may have. And I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you, JT. I have some comments, but I will hold them to the end. But wondering if my fellow commissioners have any questions or comments. Commissioner Jefferson, do you have any question?
I do, and I actually appreciated the opportunity to be able to read this one in advance. I mean, we always get our materials that way, but it was really helpful. And want to thank you for all of the extra attention that was given to the redesign. I think it really makes the space far more useful for the intended purpose of allowing for communal gatherings. I love the pavers, etc. I just had one question, and it's coming more from having watched all the great design for the bridge and then watching everybody spend their time semi-destroying it one day, almost one day after it opened recently. And I was thinking about skateboarders in the park and just trying to figure out, although I couldn't come up with an answer in my head, whether or not the surface itself dissuaded that kind of use of this space, or does it not matter because the district thinks it's going to get used enough that people won't think about that on a regular basis in terms of turning it into a skate park? And
I think it's a great question, and I think skateboarders, they like to do their tricks and things on these railings and these beautiful concrete planters we have. But we plan on putting anti-skateboard stainless steel blockers that are not very obtrusive, but they stop people from doing their skids and ollies, et cetera, on the material, on the places themselves. And as far as the plaza goes, it's a big open space, and you may get the odd skateboarder or two, but there's a process in place to make sure that, at least for the first couple of years, that this plaza will be well programmed for lots of concerts and other events, to the fact where the people in the plaza should outnumber the skateboarders.
And Oh, thank you. And my second question was just simply the material for the pavers. And again, I love the reflective quality that I saw in some of it. Does it lend itself to an easy cleaning, like, you know, people dropping gum and other things, especially if you're having lots of events on it?
Yeah, it's a limestone paver. It can be power washed. It'll have a certain amount of grit to it, so it's slip resistant. But beyond that, it's a stone. It's a hard stone.
Okay. That's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. Commissioner Giardo, do you have any questions or comments?
Yes, the fountain is lovely and a really, calming kind of meditative piece. However, as of late, when I look at fountains in various parts of the city, they seem to be inoperable. So is that, can anyone speak to the why of that and how that might affect this element here?
We tried to come up with something sculptural that if it was not in use or if no fountains were ever turned on again in Los Angeles, you could fill it with river rock or plant it or have it be some kind of sculptural element in the plaza. And we tried to make it somewhat modest, like not being an extremely large sized fountain. Does that help answer the question?
It does. Yeah, I guess we can talk about the fountains in other in other places and why, just so that we know and can give feedback, right, to proposed designs that include fountains as to whether or not they would be operable in the future.
With a recirculating pump, and if long as you're not spraying with the fountain, your loss will be, I can't say how many gallons, but there'll be a certain amount of loss just through evaporation. That's about, and then every so often you'll have to recirc the water, reuse the water, and bring in new water.
So JT, I have a question for you based on the fountain, which is a different one than Commissioner Giardo has. I think your overall design of the plaza is beautiful. I love the materials. I'm hoping that the Kansas sandstone is not too pinky. It looks really kind of pink in the rendering. I'm hoping it's more of a warm gray. But my biggest question is, I think everything is beautifully executed and it's very modern and clean. And then you have this fountain that seems like it's from a different design era. And that's the only part of your project I'm sort of struggling with, because I love the fountain ideas. I think fountains are great. I mean, we've all experienced them all over the world, but this just aesthetically doesn't seem like it goes with the rest of the modern design. So that's the only piece I'm sort of struggling with. And I want to understand your design intent, because it looks very neoclassical. I don't even know what I would describe it as. And what are the materials? I just think there's a better design for that fountain that could be executed.
It's a travertine fountain. And we thought a little bit of the old world might help people enjoy it a bit. The honesty is that it's being fundraised by a group, and this is the fountain that they really enjoyed, despite some different ideas that we floated to them. And we thought it was modest enough, and it was nice enough that it fit. It did fit in. It may not be as modern as, say, the rest of the plaza design.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Go ahead. So if it is being fundraised by, a private group, are they also fundraising for its ongoing maintenance, which may resolve my question as to like, will it be operable? Or does the city still have oversight there? And then I just wanted to add one more question, and maybe relatable to the comments that Commissioner Scarfano put forth. Will there be a public art element in this project? And if so, you know, since you mentioned that it could be malleable in terms of function, right? Be transformed into something else. I'm just wondering if that could be, you know, it seems that like this fountain has a lot of complications into it based on who's involved. So I don't want to just throw that out, but also thinking about the public art element that maybe a part of it could be in lieu of the fountain or in addition to it. Those are my comments. Thank you.
I think we have some nice places in the area that I call the overlook up here, and still on the property. There's some great spaces over here that I think would be great for public art installations over time. And as far as maybe David, you could answer the question about, you know, maintenance of the fountain over time. I believe that there's a period of time that a certain group has to maintain it, and then I'm not sure.
Thanks, JT. So our communication with the council office is that the local business group, they're kind of a self-organized group to maintain the downtown San Pedro area, would be responsible for maintaining this plaza as well. So they will be responsible for the daily maintenance as well as the fountain.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just, this is Charmaine,
Yeah,
can I just
Charmaine.
chime in on this fountain thing again?
Yeah.
I'm a little confused here. This fountain as it is designed is not what's been designed by the architects, but instead is what an outside group says it wanted to buy and have installed.
That's correct.
Okay. So our job is the overall design of this plaza. I kind of agree with Commissioner Scarfano about the design of the fountain, but I made an assumption that I probably should have asked, was that the fountain somehow or another was like a leftover remnant of the original plaza and therefore had some sort of historical significance, as opposed to the design aesthetic of the group of people who are buying it. If it has a historical, it was the original fountain when they ever put up the thing, and so we're putting it back in the park, right? In the same way that you're taking the memorial monuments and you're moving them all into one central location so that it has this sort of memorial feel to it, which I thought was a very smart idea. If this is not the historical original thing, then I would have had the exact same comment, which is that fountain looks like it belongs in a Spanish courtyard, and we've designed something different here, and it feels a little out of place. Not, I have all the same, issues about maintenance and all that other kind of stuff, but it's not working. And so I would be sitting here saying, oh, it's not historic, then the fountain doesn't work with the design. Couldn't we come up with some other fountain design that looks like it goes with the rest of the park design? And just because somebody has said they'll pay for it, they still would have had to come to us and say, we're getting a fountain that's permanently going to be put in the park. Is this okay? So I'm having a conflict here, and I made an assumption that I should have asked about instead of made about the design of the fountain. But I'd love to hear what the other commissioners think about it, because they may think it's wonderful and therefore it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Commissioner Jimenez, go ahead, Commissioner Ho.
Do we know who's sponsoring this? Can you share that, this fountain?
David?
Little Italy group of Los Angeles. So they were this entire project is financed by the private donation. So Little Italy Group was a strong supporter of this project. And then we, in discussion with the council office, they also strongly support the the financial support of the project from the Little Italy Group. And so we originally had a different idea about the fountain design, designing something that's more contemporary, more, in character with the overall design. So this fountain was brought to us, and we realized this is not entirely in character with the design, but we do hear that your Commissioner Jefferson about this. We do need to go back for you to kind of review this fountain design. So I mean, as a question will flow back to the council office. This is something that that could be conditional approval upon reviewing of the fountain. Then as long as we could move this project forward with construction, I think that's an approach we can take.
Thanks for answering my question, David, and giving more information. I have a follow-up to that. What is the significance of this fountain to this group? Can you provide some context on why it was so important for them to advocate for this fountain, despite expert view of what it should be for the rest of the building?
So this fountain gives a historic nod to the kind of the history of the plaza. So this community back in the days has the highest concentration of Italian immigrants. So of course, over here, we have different Croatian, other population moved in. So originally the design was very Italian centric, but obviously the comment from the conceptual design is we wanted to be more inclusive. So the design team really went back and kind of dialed down a lot of the historical reference, and then made it more contemporary, Mediterranean, and more California appropriate. So that was the sort of the push to kind of drive it away from very Italian centric design, but make it more of a place for everybody. This fountain is something that we could not push away. I mean, this is something that we tried. We tried many different ways of utilizing. In fact, there was an urn that's existing on site that we had thought, we could repurpose that urn because it gives kind of a historic anchor to this contemporary design. But the more we investigated, the urn itself structurally wasn't sound enough to handle to be repurposed as the water fountain. So, and then council office approached us with the support, with a suggestion that the local business group really wanted to purchase this and install this on site. So we thought of a place that's sort of like, it gives some sort of the visual importance, but it's not overwhelmingly, the center focus of the plaza, right? We still want this to be an open plaza. We still want to have all these contemporary features. But as JT mentioned, this fountain can act as a shield to kind of cover the traffic noise in the background. And then we also have a pretty lush landscape surrounding it, so it's not kind of in your face sort of the water fountain feature that draws a lot of attention, right? So the focus still be the plaza itself.
But David, it is in your face. It's on direct access of the middle of the plaza. So I
when
kind of
you're inside the plaza, that's kind of sort of your focus will be inside the plaza.
Okay, I'm going to see what the fellow commissioners, if there's more questions and comments. But even nodding back to the historic urn and maybe asking Gensler to design something that's more of a reference to, and there's plenty of I'm Italian-American descent, 100%. So I know that there's plenty of more contemporary fountains that are all over Italy that we can kind of reference that is more in keeping with the overall design concept of this. And I think let's see what the other commissioners say. So Commissioner Vincent, do you have any questions or comments?
I do. I absolutely concur with my fellow commissioners. As it is designed, there's not really a focal point at all. And I think that the kind of out of scale, to my liking too small. And I would consider a water element rather than a traditional fountain. I have a couple other questions for you as well. In this rendering, is the direction of the sunlight correct?
It's this plaza will be in shade most of the time. I'm not sure what day or time that this rendering was taken when the sun shade, so I can't say.
Okay,
but
so
I can say this is the north side of the municipal building, which is I think 12 stories.
Okay.
Or 7, but it'll be in shade. The plaza
Okay.
will be in shade.
Here's my question with regard to shade, which is very important, especially in a situation like this. That you can't confirm that is actually the direction that the sun will be shining onto it, which would shine directly into the shaded arbor you've got going there, and maybe a shade would be provided by the trees on the other end. And then my question is that how mature will the trees be that get planted there to provide shade? And how mature is the bougainvillea that's going to be installed?
The trees are all existing. And I think I have Matthew here with me from Brightview, and he can talk about the bougainvillea a bit.
Yes, so this is Matthew Taylor with Brightview Design Group. JT is correct. All the trees that you're seeing right now in this rendering would be the existing trees, so they are all quite mature to begin with. In regards to the bougainvillea, our plans currently propose starting those off as a 15-gallon bougainvillea. So you'd be looking at something that's probably in the neighborhood of about 6 foot tall on day one. And those are planted in key locations at the base of the trellis to make them go up and onward. In regards
my question is that how long is it going to take the bougainvillea to grow over the top to provide shade?
That would be based off of the actual final growing conditions and the water that is being provided to the bougainvillea once they are installed. Because if you were to install a bougainvillea in the spring time versus installing a bougainvillea in the winter time in California, you'll get a faster growth rate if you install in spring.
Okay,
so like
we're still talking years before it provides adequate shading.
It will not be fully shaded within a year. I can definitely
I would
guarantee that.
suggest, being the proud owner of several bougainvillea, that it will take many years in order for that to grow in significantly to provide shade. So that's another concern. And I would really like to revisit it with accurate renderings of where the sun is positioned on the actual project. The next question I have is just one of more curiosity, but it's not apparent from the ground level, but from up above, there's a design in the stonework. What is that design referencing?
It's a star based on a Italian piazza, and it's just a very abstracted two-tone pattern of that star is all.
And that was also at the request of this business group?
No, we've had that in since the very beginning, and we thought about some other patterns, and we liked this pattern, and we just kept it.
Okay.
Vincent, does that answer your questions? Can we move on to
Um,
another commissioner's comment?
I made my point.
Yeah.
Could I ask whether or not to Commissioner Vincent's question, whether or not it's possible that the shaded area have the kind of the netting that you put over the top to create shade in an outdoor patio space?
Ma'am,
The bougainvillea can always grow on top of it.
If you notice, there are we have, these are steel beams and stainless steel rods to collect. So those will act as, a man-made trellis shading device for a period of time before the bougainvillea fully comes in.
I'm actually thinking of that mesh material that they use and they put over, backyard patio awnings. And then it would in fact give you some shade covering, period. Whether the bougainvillea ever comes in or we have to cut all water down, it would be there.
Some additional beams could be put in for just shading reasons.
I'm not even suggesting anything that's as costly as that. I really am.
A shade mesh.
Yeah, shade mesh of the right color that goes with what you've got there, and it solves it. You either put it underneath and the bougainvillea is on top, or put it on top and then the bougainvillea one day grows over it. And if it grows over it and full enough, then you'll never have to replace it. It'll just come down by itself.
Commission President?
Yeah.
My biggest concern is one that hasn't been addressed, and that is whether we are looking at a real representation of the direction of the sun on here. And I don't know that we can make any real decisions if we don't really know where the sun is coming from, where the shade is going to be provided for, until we have an accurate representation.
Yeah, I think in their previous submission package, which I think was included, it does show that a good portion of the plaza was covered in shade, but I don't know. I mean, yes, that I feel like that's part of our design comments, but I don't know what they can do to change that. I mean, it kind of is what it is, and hopefully you guys will plan to have, I don't know, shade tolerant plants that could grow in that area. I don't know if that's the right description for them, but yeah, that presentation, I noticed that too, Robert. When I looked up, I was like, oh, it's in shade in one and not in the other. Like, I think it's a good point. I think we should probably have some of the other commissioners make some comments quickly, and then we could kind of maybe summarize everything. What do you guys think? Commissioner Ho, do you have any comments?
No, I just want to know how we're going to move forward. We clearly have concerns about the fountain.
Right.
What options do we have available?
And the
to
shade,
us?
right?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask, is it possible to get approval for everything sans the fountain, so that we can move ahead with construction, because the fountain is planned to come later?
Okay, and then you would come back to us and show us a different fountain. Is that what you're proposing?
So I don't want to talk for David. I'll let.
Okay, well, I think we still haven't heard from Commissioner Gallardo. I apologize. Did you make a comment? And I know Commissioner Paquette and Commissioner Jimenez has not commented yet.
Yes, I made my comments regarding the fountain.
Right. Okay.
Both the
Yep.
how it's going to be kept operationalized, maintenance. Is there a possibility to replace it with a public art element? And then I learned about this group, which makes this complicated. Yep. Are we only considering for the vote everything but the fountain, or are we supposed to be approving the design of the fountain as well? So it's just right, like everything everyone else has said, and clarifying what we are voting, if we are voting on this.
Right. Commissioner Jimenez, we haven't heard from you. Do you have any questions or comments?
I mean, nothing other than I agree with my fellow commissioners. I think there are some questions and concerns around the shading and the fountain, but that's really it.
Thank you. How about Commissioner Paquette? Do you have any questions?
Commissioner Paquette left about 30 minutes ago.
Oh, we did. Okay, so we still have quorum, right?
Correct.
Okay, so I think we have some unknowns, and we've heard from every commissioner, right? I apologize if
You have, but I just want to say the following. Where the sun falls or it doesn't fall, for me, is not the issue. I do think the issue is there could be a better shading approach, because waiting for years for the bougainvillea to grow in is not going to work, or does not work. And depending on the particular and different times of day and et cetera, are going to be the issue. The only other thing that I wasn't real clear about was whether or not I was missing lighting on the plaza that would allow for nighttime events. And you may have said it, and I just I missed it. And my only closing is I would be inclined to approve this subject, but not necessarily the fountain, subject to hearing more about why this fountain, how this fountain, in order to know whether or not there's a reason to overlook its lack of alignment with the design because it has some other significance. Other than that, I also am not seeing lighting posts, so I don't know whether or not it has nighttime capacity.
I mean, JT, I think you did show the Tivoli lights, right? That
Yep, we have a number
you
of
show that
lighting.
again?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
A number of lighting ideas. There are 2 new light poles. I think one is here and one is here. There's several existing ones on the outs in the right of way, out in the right of way here. But in addition to those, to make sure we have the correct lighting levels, we also have, these specialty lighting for the underneath the handrails, underneath the benches. The trellis is lit up with sconces and pin lighting. And then we do have a Tivoli lights that can go across the whole plaza. And what's not shown here, but I showed in the last slide, is that there are lights in the paving themselves.
Okay, thank you. I was staring at that drawing long enough not to see any light poles in it, so I just started missing them. Thank you.
So taking all the commissioners' concerns and also JT and everyone to have this approved with conditions, is that something that we can do? We can, I can request to approve conceptual and final with the exception of the fountain, more detail on the shade structure. Is there anything else? I know Commissioner Vincent, you might have had one other comment.
No, that's it. That's it. for
Okay.
me.
And the shading, is that city attorney, I'm asking the city attorney, is that possible that we could take that kind of vote so that they can move forward with construction? And then we'll see more details and information on the fountain and the final shade.
I don't know offhand if we can do a conditional approval. I think we might have to table this to a future meeting.
Daniel, what's your experience? Because I think we have given.
Yeah.
I think my experience is that we have, but so
We have.
we have, so.
Yeah, we have. We have 2 choices here. Yes, or yes, 3 choices. Yes, no, or yes with conditions. And right now we're saying yes, except we're concerned about 2 things, both of which right at the present moment to me don't have anything. Unless Commissioner Vincent is suggesting that we totally relocate what is that shaded area. The issue is just it's not providing adequate shade coverage, and nobody is buying this fountain, so we're having a problem. And we would have had to have approved the fountain anyway if it was permanent in the location. So if it had just come to us by itself and said, we're about to install this, this fountain in this space, we would have been giving feedback about this fountain. So yes, we can.
Thanks,
And
thanks for clarifying while I cover for my colleague who's more familiar with the commission. And just a quick note, there's a few different votes that can happen here too, right, President? I'm hearing different combinations, so we may have to have a few different motions and to vote on them.
Okay, so why don't I suggest, is there a motion to approve conceptual and final for the San Pedro Plaza with conditions of a new design for the fountain and the shade structure? And then we could take a vote on that. Thank you, Commissioner Vincent. Do we have a second?
Sorry, I want to clarify that this already received conceptual approval. This is
Right.
just the final.
Oh, just final. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's my bad.
No.
Sorry. Yep.
I'm jumping in on experience here. They came to us with concept. And for final, we didn't agree with the concept. They've come back to us with a revised concept and they're asking for final. We're coming back to them on that design that they have brought back to us and said, love everything, but here's the two things we have concerns about. Can you do something to correct them? Or there's going to be a no vote. And then they're still going to go back, try and correct them and come back again. Sorry, but
if we vote yes with these conditions, then they still have to come back to us, right? And show the final fountain and
yeah, but it's on those two items. It's not about the
Yeah.
whole layout. To the
right.
whole-
Because we've approved I think the whole layout looks great with the exception of those two. So I'm willing to make that
So that's the motion that's on the floor now.
yes.
So do we have a second?
I'm sorry, can we clarify that motion? Just want to be very, very clear that we all follow the details of this.
Okay, so I should repeat it probably. Yes. So item number C, the San Pedro Plaza, we are voting to approve the final design with two, what did we say it was? I'm so sorry, conditions, which would be to see the final design of the fountain and the final design of the shade structure. Is that correct, Josh?
That makes sense to me. Yeah, thanks, President.
Okay.
So before we vote, it's a final design on the shade structure. And two things about the fountain. One is further clarification about why this fountain. Because maybe there's a reason why this fountain, so that regardless of how much we do or don't love it, there's a reason for it. Right now, we don't have the reason for it other than it sounds like it's someone's interpretation of Italian design. Of historic Italian design. And then if it appears that the reasoning is not sufficient to countermand the design, the aesthetic, then we're saying you need another fountain design. That's what I'm hearing is the discussion. We're trying to leave them room to recognize why they want it, but we need to hear more.
Okay. Well, my issue is I don't like the design of the fountain. I don't think it goes. So
I know, and I can think of every reason for not wanting to offend the community.
Yes, of
over
course.
their aesthetic choices.
Yes.
I've seen us approve things that I wouldn't want in a million years, but the community is like wild
Yeah,
for it.
that's
let's
true.
go for
So
it.
why don't,
But I don't know why they're wild for this one.
I'm sorry, I do want to clarify that part, that the fountain is something the community express that they want, or is that what the sponsor want, which is very different, two different constituency
Very
for
good
me.
point.
so in your community report, I didn't see anything about like, asking the community specifically about the fountain itself, unless it was there. So that's important for us to be aware of that too.
I guess we just, I guess the motion is, like I stated, so they have to come back with Commissioner Jefferson's request and the shade structure.
And that, I just want to also add, this would include the mount for the fountain. Is that correct?
That the 4-leaf clover looking thing on the bottom.
No,
around it.
the thing below it, which seems to be
pedestal.
elevated from the ground floor, from the,
That's
it looks like it's on a mount.
it's a raised concrete
Mhm.
18-inch pedestal.
Pedestal.
Seating
There you
height.
go. Would that include that, or
That's that's construction. It's not part of the bought piece of the fountain.
it's not part of the fountain?
No, ma'am.
Would it be there if there were no fountain?
I mean, it could be the platform for a piece of public art, or it could turn into more low impact development planter space.
The value of it is up higher if it's a water feature, is it has less people possibly playing in it.
And we thought it was a nice seat, like a seating height place to sit right next to the fountain.
We just want them to sit next to a different fountain.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
I think,
That's
yeah.
clear. Thank you.
Okay.
And
So-
and for what it's worth, the last discussion was really around the appropriateness of a water fountain in a time when we are telling everybody to stop water usage. The fountain has come back. It's still in. I heard the noise issues. I hear the way the water's going to get used. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. There's ways to still do it. We're not completely a desert. And I'm not going to fight that. But when it got pushed back before, it was, why is there a fountain at all?
Okay, I'm still gonna state that we have the same motion on the table, which is come back with shade structure and fountain and everything else. No fountain, reason for fountain, historical backup for fountain, description, or no fountain. Just that, is that motion still, can we try to take a vote on that? And everybody says no, then I guess we'll go to another direction. But Commissioner Vincent, you had the first motion on that. Do you still have a motion to approve this with those two conditions? Oh, did we lose him? Commissioner Vincent, are you there? Maybe he jumped off.
It seems that we lost him, but I would assume that he'll be right back on.
Yeah, okay. So
It would also be helpful if we can get a better understanding of the scenario that's before us, which is there is a private group advancing an element that from the very beginning, the commission had concerns about this fountain. And now it feels we're asking for another redesign or reconsideration. Is there anything that that we can be guided on with regard to the combination of this public-private kind of, makeup of the project, it seems? I mean, a small part, but still, we're having a lot of conversation about this fountain. Either way, is there anything that might be helpful to the commission to contextualize the relationships and the people involved here and what our oversight is? That's a request from me.
Maybe David?
Yeah, I guess so. Kind of going back to history a little bit, when this first project first was in the conceptual stage, the council office, they were approached by the local business group to kind of discuss ideas to how to revitalize this plaza, because this plaza is viewed by the community as unsafe, is underutilized. So there was a lot of discussion about how best approach this being a city property. It's a public plaza. But the council office made this sort of their priority project to get the finance and also get the design to start. So they kind of initiated effort to find a private donation to support the design construction. Also, in the meantime, they're soliciting comments, some feedback from the local business group, how to best utilize this plaza in terms of create public events and also help the local
I don't,
business.
David, I don't mean to interrupt you, but nobody has an issue with the design of the plaza. All we're talking about is the fountain. So
the fountain.
The fountain,
the fountain
is the issue,
right.
And we've got to probably wrap this up. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't mean to go deeper
Yeah,
into it.
I mean-
Just trying to get a better understanding of what we would ask them to bring back with regard to the fountain. I'm hearing a new design for the fountain, not necessarily no fountain. Is that what I'm hearing from the motion?
I'm saying two different things. They have implied to us that there was a reason behind this fountain. Someone needs to share it with us so that we can figure out whether that reason overrides the aesthetic.
Right.
By accepting that there'll be a fountain, we've already reasoned that there is a reason beyond no fountain whatsoever. If the reason is adequate, then I suspect we'll accept the fountain as is. Based on what I'm hearing, I don't think it's going to be, and we're going to try to suggest that it needs a fountain redesign. That's all. And when it comes back to us as a design, whatever it is, it should come back to us with a specific design that we can see on that fountain, other than, did I blow it up large enough to see it on my screen? Because right now we're not looking at a design of the fountain in any level of
and
detail.
we're looking at a purchased fountain, and it's not
Yes.
designed by the architect.
There
I
it
mean,
is. Oh, and that's worse.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all.
what I
So
have
then
an
you can-
issue with.
Yeah,
So
so then-
I would make a motion to redesign the fountain. Give us a reason and and I would say involve the architects who've done a beautiful job executing this plaza, with the exception of that.
Or the other part is if there's resounding, comments from the community that says, this is the fountain we want. I would be okay with that if that's what truly what the community want, but I'm not hearing that right now.
Yeah. If that's what the community wants. And I meant it in all seriousness. I know we have voted for things that the community has chosen because they went through a whole process and 6 kids were involved in it, and they, and what they came up with, we were like, okay, your part.
Yeah. But this wasn't in our presentation at all like that. So
Right, yeah. So that we want to, especially since it's going to be pre-made and bought, there's a lot of conversation that could be had around it, but they need to tell us. So that's what immediately took off the record for me. This is not a historic fountain that was always on this site that represents. It's symbolic. So it may be that we come back and say, love your idea of symbolism. Can you come up with something more befitting the design of the park?
or a material that is
Or a material. or
that
something.
is, more, travertine is nowhere on that plaza. So
Just don't want to give the order to do that
Yeah, yeah.
before they give us a chance to tell us why they're doing it.
Sure. Okay, so on that note, can we, I will again ask if there is a motion to approve the San Pedro Plaza as designed, with the exception of the fountain design and further design clarification on the trellis shading.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jimenez. I'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Ho, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Giardo, how do you vote? Yeah. Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
and I also vote yes. And Commissioner Vincent, are you there? We may have lost him, but we still have quorum, right? There's 5 of us.
Correct.
Okay, all right. So for this one, I guess Commissioner Vincent is abstaining, which is a no, correct?
Well, he's,
Abstaining.
yeah,
It's
I
not
think it's
present.
interpreted as a yes, but we'll just record it as abstaining and we can tally that later.
Okay.
Did we lose,
Okay.
did we lose Paquette or did I miss it?
Yeah, he had to go
Okay,
at 3.
right.
So we are now moving on to the next item, which is the Slauson Connect.
Sorry, I wanted to see what the follow-up is. So I should talk to David and the applicant for them to bring these 2 items back, right, for final approval.
Yes, but we have final approval on the plaza, so they can go with construction. We're just not approving the fountain and the more detail on the shade structure. Correct, Daniel and Josh? That's what we're asking for?
That's
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you for your time. Sorry it took so long.
It's okay. No worries, JT. Thank you. It was a very thorough, beautiful presentation.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item, item D, Slauson Connect. The architect is Paul Murdoch. The project is located on Normandy Avenue. And Tammy, I think you're gonna make the introduction also on this one, correct?
Correct. I believe that there are supporters for this project. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the project that is not the design team?
Certainly, I believe Sherilyn Correa from the council office is here, and I, as well as Wayne Chow from Bureau of Engineering Architectural Division, can give a brief intro to the project.
Sure. You guys will have 3 minutes to speak. Timer, please.
Sure. Thank you all, and good afternoon. Thank you for the work that you do to make sure that these projects are well designed and fit the city's standards for design and maintenance. My name is Ohaji Abdullah with the Bureau of Engineering Architectural Division. I'm the Proposition K project manager. Just want to give a brief intro. The Slauson Connect project was initiated with the councilman's vision to develop a community asset in this area that acknowledges the history of the community and previous railway activities that once dominated this corridor. The site is located within the previous railway easement along Slauson Boulevard between Budlong and Normandy, and the project is largely funded with Proposition K funds. Now, Proposition K funds are focused on developing equitable recreation and cultural facilities throughout Los Angeles. So this project is certainly aiming to do just that. The project will supplement the efforts of the Metro development, which is the creation and development of a rail to river project, pedestrian bikeway project along the same stretch. And the overall project entails the design and construction of approximately 12,000 square foot facility that incorporates a childcare center, flexible after-school classrooms, a green screen television studio for additional training for after school, a 2-acre park, and building and paving elements that acknowledge the historical locations and events in the area. In terms of community outreach, the council office and the BOE have conducted several community meetings. The Prop K funds require the conduction of a minimum of 3 community meetings and approval before moving forward. We have 1 more meeting left, but our community outreach at this point has been very robust. We've dialed in all the comments, and we certainly know that we're going to have the community support to move forward. With that, I will pass it on to Paul Murdoch of Paul Murdoch Architects.
Thanks, Ohaji.
Could we get 10 minutes on the clock, please?
We should also state that this is for final approval.
Oh,
Thank
yes.
you, Paul.
Sorry. So this received conceptual approval June of this year, and there were 3 concerns. general neutral bathrooms, cultural mapping by LA Commons, and incorporating more colors into this project. Thank you. Could we get a reset on the timer for 10 minutes? And Paul, if you can, oh, you're already unmuted. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Tammy, I'm having a hard time getting this image up. I don't know if somebody can pull it up. It was working before.
Hang on. We have someone from the city who can.
Give me a second, I'll bring it up.
Thank you, Scott.
And while, Commissioner President, while we're waiting, it looks like the representative from the council office just arrived. So maybe we can hear from her while we're figuring this out.
Great. That would be great. And who's from the council office so we can announce?
Hello.
Or Daniel, would you like to announce her?
I'm happy to. I'm also, let me actually pass it over to Tammy, who will introduce Sherilyn Correa.
Hi, Sherilyn is here to speak on behalf of Slauson Connect. Sherilyn, go ahead and take the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sherilyn Correa. I'm the Director of Planning and Economic Development for Councilmember Curran Price. This is a project that he has been spearheading for the last 4 years. We've been working diligently to bring this much needed park to the community. As you are probably aware, South LA is a park desert, unfortunately, but my council member has done everything in his power to change that. Within the last 4 years, we are actually leading the development of 3 new parks just along this 1.6 mile stretch along the Slauson corridor, and the Slauson Connect will be the heart of that. It will be a project that's going to be dedicated to our youth, since they're in such great need of green space, but we also wanted to add to that by creating this multifunctional recreation center, youth development center is what the council member is referring to it as. So we definitely are excited about seeing the project move forward. The community has eagerly been waiting for. We have conducted numerous community events, even to the local high school. That is actually just right down the street from the site. And we got a lot of great feedback from the project as is. And I did hear that one of the earlier comments were adding more color to the project. And actually that was one of the questions that we posed to a high school audience of about 120 students. And they overwhelmingly spoke out that they did not want more color. They actually wanted more nature-based colors and more nature solutions in the park. So we took that heed. We heeded that advice from them. But among other things, we're all very excited to see this park move forward, and we would love to have your approval on this project today. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul, are you able to pull up there's a button on the bottom, that screen, it says share screen. When you click on it, does it not allow you to share?
That's the problem, yeah.
Ohaji.
Tell me which file is it again?
This one is Slauson Connect. But would Wayne or Ohaji, do you guys, can you guys please share if you guys have the files?
For Wayne, would you mind pulling that up?
Yeah, I'm being blocked as well. I need access.
You have been made co-host. You may share now. Okay, yeah, sharing privileges.
I have a second screen on. I'm not sure if it's a different Wayne show.
Yeah, we can't see your second screen. Go
okay, let me fix that. Try now.
Great, thank you. Sorry for the delay. My name's Paul Murdoch. We're the architects for the project. I'm joined by Damar Matthews today from Off Top Design, who will share some of the design for interpretive artwork on the building, as well as Evan Mather from MIG, our landscape architect. I want to start with this image. If we could stay on this image here. This gives an idea of Slossons to the lower right, the bikeway, the Rail to River bikeway that Metro is building is in the foreground diagonally across the image. And then the three-story building is just north of the bikeway. This is a very long, very narrow site. Metro has 30 feet from the curb, and we have 50 feet from Metro to the north edge of the property. So it's a very narrow, long site. What we've tried to do is create some terraced areas that open onto views of the bike way and Slauson. You'll see there's a roof deck and garden on the upper level, which is open to the multi-purpose classroom at the third floor. And what we've tried to do is use illumination and signage to help animate the building, especially at night, to kind of call attention to this as a public building to help revitalize activity along the Slauson corridor. I know there's a few things we want to touch on with limited time, so let's go on to the next slide and fairly quickly move through these. This is the site location on Slauson between Normandy and Budlong. The site is about 1,250 feet long. Next. To the left, you see parking, a solar canopy. This is a net zero building. So there's photovoltaic solar panels planned on the canopy. That space can be used for different community events as well. There's the building itself with an entry from the parking as well as from the bikeway sidewalk. And then to the right of the building is a playground for the childcare facility on the first floor. And then the park is to the right of that with different uses that we've talked about in our previous meeting and Evan can touch on later. Next, please. One of the things, just to clarify, there's a proposal to do some prefabricated modular construction on a portion of the building where the classrooms occur and the terraces. And then to the left is a site-built construction where that entry urban porch is with the multi-purpose classroom above and the big facade screen. Next, please. Plans are pretty much as you saw them last time. There was a question about gender neutral restrooms, a restroom. We have introduced a single occupancy restroom near the entrance, which is accessible from this entry porch. So that gives the public access without having to go into the childcare facility on the ground floor. Next. The second floor includes the media lab that Ohaji mentioned, as well as after school programming. There's exterior terraces and partially covered terraces there with stairways that lead from the ground to this level, as well as from this level up to the roof garden and the multi-purpose classroom at the third floor. Next, please. To the left is the multi-purpose classroom. It opens, those are sliding walls that open up to a balcony overlooking the western part of the site, and then also opening towards the roof garden, which has drought tolerant and native plantings, as well as some shade structures for seating. um, stairs and an elevator accessing the garden as well. Next, please. This is the roof plan, additional photovoltaics on the roof of the classroom, and then showing the shade structures, which use a similar mesh to what we would have on guardrails, as well as the facade screen that you saw in the first image. Next. Wanted to say something about the palette. Sherilyn mentioned we had input from the youth. This is a youth development center, from childcare to middle school to multi-purpose classrooms. So we want a palette that would stand the test of time. We want something that can serve as a backdrop to artwork, not only under commission by the Cultural Affairs Department, but also that's being produced by youth in the center through programs. So when we show our palette to the right here, we have white as a predominant part of the palette. We have metal mesh fabric that would have a warm tone, and I can show you a sample of that in a minute, but also some black accents near the entrance at the ground floor for a bit of a punch, which it can also be animated with artwork. But the artwork should be seen as part of the overall palette, and that is very much the intent here. Next, please. We heard some concerns about the metal and associations with the metal. What we've tried to do is choose a warm color for this fabric, so that there is a warmer feeling to it. Next, please. Than the usual gray or silver you see at the top. This would be more like a light bronze color, picking up sunlight and being warmer overall in tonality. Next. We have proposed some interpretive artwork in the guardrails. You can see in the image there at the edge of the roof garden overlooking the park. That would be one location. And then on the second floor, on one of the terrace walls there facing Slauson and the bikeway and sidewalk would be another location. Now, this would be part of the architecture. It's not something that we're asking Cultural Affairs to approve as part of the art program per se, or the public artwork. It's something that we're trying to weave into the building itself. And Damar has been working on this, doing some research in the community. And I'll let him explain the concept for this that he's been researching and designing. Damar?
Sure. So
there's 90 seconds left. Just 90-second warning.
Okay.
Okay. So this. There we go. This design concept is meant to celebrate the neighborhoods in CD9. So this district uses streets very differently than a lot of other neighborhoods in the world. Block parties, Tommy the Clown, lowriders, double Dutch, some of the things that you just see in LA. So the names of the streets are important. You get asked where you're from by everybody who is from LA. And so there's sort of a pride in saying what street you were raised on. So we're looking to celebrate these stories, and with the help of a young South LA historian named DeMarco Smith, we found stories that we believe to be critical to CD9's legacy. And so these design concepts are meant to celebrate the people's relationship to the streets. So we're telling stories of residents, businesses, street vendors, and neighbors.
And this is also part of the site work. I know we're running out of time here, but maybe we could, Wayne, flip to the site plan. Besides, in addition to the guardrails on the building, there's also some paved areas in the park. Next, please. Yeah. in those blue areas where DeMar is also proposing pavement treatments with interpretive content as well. DeMar, if you want to say anything about those, a few seconds left.
Sure, I know we're out of time, but yes, basically this is just looking at the historic Pacific Electric Railway, Slauson Junction, and its importance to the Slauson neighborhood, speaking to its history here, and telling people who are going to be visiting this site about the history of it.
Next slide. I think we had some materials there.
Yeah. So it's meant to kind of play like a collage on the ground where it's not just where we didn't have to dial very hard in on just painting the ground or allowing just one material to rule it. So hopefully we're looking at this sort of combination of sandblasted concrete, stencil, paint, and aggregate.
And I guess we're out of time, but we're happy to answer plenty of questions if we can.
I think you could probably flip through quickly, Paul. I mean,
these
you
are-
have a few more, so.
These are different art opportunities that we've identified through the site. One is the adjacent building, which I think BOE and the council office are going to try to talk to the adjacent property owner. It's a very prominent wall near the entry into the parking along Normandy. We have locations in the park itself. The councilman was interested in potentially some sculptures in the park. We have the wall that overlooks the children's playground and the park. And then, as I mentioned before, at the entrance off of the sidewalk into the covered porch, there's an opportunity there for artwork right at the entry gate, as well as if we look at the next slide, underneath the multi-purpose classroom there in the porch, there's a very prominent wall there for mural work. The next slide shows from the other direction some of the side walls and that wall overlooking, next please, the wall overlooking the playground. So we see all of those as potential opportunities to animate the building, in addition to what DeMar explained on the guardrails. We're using planted screening, along the edge of the sidewalk to form a kind of planted buffer to the building there. And the childcare the classrooms are behind that, the playground's behind that to the right. We have some pop-through windows there to help animate that as well.
Tammy, can we have 30 seconds just to briefly give our landscape architect a moment to talk about the playground area and the treatments there?
Sure.
Thanks, yeah, sure. Thanks, Ohaji. Just wanted to share how it's advanced since we last presented the project. We've advanced the design to show a number of different play experiences, from musical play. There's a tricycle track. There's a sand and water play table, a climbing structure, a basket swing. It's even some natural seating, resilient surfacing, and a cool little playhouse. One thing I wanted to touch on, if we can go look at the roof garden real quick, because I think that has also advanced its design quite a bit. It's really interesting because what we've done is made it more of an expression of the natural landscape, as we heard from the youth in the community. If you look at slide, I think it's 29. Maybe not. Maybe go up a few more, please. A few more. Almost there. If you can keep going back. This is all the lighting. It's going to be like slide 25. Yeah, there we go. So what's really cool about the roof garden is it's actually several different kind of landscape planting experiences or palettes to show off. We've got, and there are different landscapes that occur throughout LA, from the desert and the succulent the upland and grassland area, and also the coastal sage. And that complements what's happening down at the ground level, where for the most part, we're using a lot of native trees like oaks and sycamores and redbuds. We're also creating a colonnade working with the Metro Bike Path. It's a double row of Chinese elm trees. But that's the landscape design. It's very fun and very exciting.
I know we've taken a lot of time, so I think we want to jump into the questions and answers. Give you some detailed responses as needed.
Thank you, Paul, Damar, Haji, and I don't know your top name, the landscape.
Oh, it's Evan. I couldn't change
Evan, sorry.
my title for some
It
reason.
said Mig. Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't want to call
sorry.
you Mig. But thank you for the beautiful presentation. I think we'll jump right into seeing if some of the fellow commissioners have some questions and comments. Commissioner Jefferson, do you have any questions or comments?
Love the approach to the fencing that made it the gold bling. And to try to, I'm understanding better the palette, and when I think about it, I can see probably why certainly at the high school level, they might say, no, don't give us the color. Let's do something else. So I think it's working. I have a couple of really quick questions. One of which is the material on the fence on the outside. Is that a metal fence with landscape etching in it, or what? I'm not sure if I understand the material on that green outside.
It's a material called green screen, and it's a three-dimensional. It has some depth to it, so it's like a wire framed construction that allows the plants to grow up on it and through it, and so eventually your basic that fence is disappearing within the planting that's enveloping it.
Okay, so what we're looking at is until the planting grows up and through it, it has a sort of cutout design that has a floral landscape type appearance to it.
It kind of has a metal wire grid sort of a look to it. It's a very light kind of screen in that sense.
But it's not. I know it's not that. What I'm just trying to understand is that what the public will see until plants grow into it is something that looks decorative. Temporary.
It won't be. The intent hasn't been to decorate it with any sort of a printed or painted pattern on the planted screen here. It would have a color, and it would be this sort of light, truss-like wire frame kind of element. It's very sort of transparent until the plants grow up through it.
Is it like a gray color? Paul?
Yeah, I mean, we would probably use a green.
A green, okay.
We use this on the Constituent Services Center on Central Avenue in CD9, and we used it to create. In that case, we enclosed a courtyard, but we didn't want to have a wall-like or a heavy metal-like barrier. And this has a very kind of lace-like character before the plants come. It's very transparent. It's very light looking.
Okay, and my other comment was just simply the incorporation of the history through photographs on the upper levels is great. That actually is an artistic element that we would opine on. And so my opine is thank you for doing that. This was the heart of the Black community in Los Angeles for a very, very long time, long before anybody got over to Crenshaw and Leimert Park. So that recognition, both of its mixed economic past as well as its current residents is really important. So one, I appreciate it. The last question was just simply about when you were showing us the building and you kept going up to upper floors, I got lost as to whether or not, I know there's the downstairs unisex bathroom, one. Nobody wants anybody to go into the childcare center.
Right.
But I didn't see any on the upper floors and I may
Second,
have missed
yeah.
it.
Okay, the second floor, yeah, we went through them quickly. There's restrooms there on the second floor that are, multi-use.
Got it.
And
So
they're
if you do a roof garden event and someone wants to use the restroom, they come down to that next floor.
They can use that, as well as on the upper floor, we've got a single occupancy restroom.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Sorry, it was just too small for my eyeballs on the screen. Thank you. I think it's great.
Thank you.
Sorry, guys, I was muted. Commissioner Gallardo, do you have any questions or comments?
No, but looking forward to seeing the future intended murals, because it's still visually, I know you all did had a lot to contend with, but in terms of inviting community, I think those elements will help to create a welcoming atmosphere so folks actually use it. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jimenez, do you have any questions, comments?
Not at this time, thank you.
Commissioner Vincent, do you have any questions or comments?
I think it's lovely. I had some technical difficulties, so I'm back and came to this wonderful project.
Well, thanks for coming back. Commissioner Ho, do you have any questions or comments?
Only that I really appreciated the community input and the presentation of the voice of the community in this project. So thank you for doing that thoroughly.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say, Paul and all of the team, it's a beautiful project and we can't wait to see it. I think, you took all of our comments from the last meeting and addressed them, and it's just, yeah, I think it's exceptional. So on that note, I think all the commissioners that are here spoke, correct? I'm wondering if we have a motion to approve the Slauson Connect for final approval.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Ho. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. So we'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Vincent, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Ho,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Yes.
And I also vote yes. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so our last architectural project of the day is the Headwater Pavilion. It's located at the LA River Greenery in Canoga Park. This is for final approval, and the architect Tensho Takamori from Gary Partners will be presenting. And Tammy, I think you will introduce the project, correct? So
Correct. This Headwater Pavilions project is one of the first projects to be built with guidance from the newly adopted LA River Master Plan of 2022. There will be 2 restroom areas with a canopy between them to form a gateway between the neighborhood and the bike path. The main facade is placed above the canopy and is visible from the neighborhood and river sides. The concern that the CAC had before at conceptual approval on August 10th, 2022 was the project being too gray and institutional. I believe we have someone from SD3 here to speak on behalf of the project.
Hi, yes. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sophie Freeman. I'm Supervisor Sheila Kuehl's Environment and Arts Deputy. And is it okay if I give a brief statement?
Yes, absolutely. You have 3 minutes.
Wonderful. Well, I'm calling in from my phone, so apologies for being a disembodied voice, but it's great to meet you all. I'd like to thank the commission for giving our team the opportunity to provide an update about this exciting project that will introduce new amenities in the Canoga Park neighborhood and provide direct access to the LA River near the headwaters. Supervisor Kuehl has been a longtime advocate for all things related to the LA River, and especially in making sure that projects acknowledge and reflect cultural and community identity. This pavilion project would be an important and enduring landmark, not only marking the headwaters of the river, but also kicking off river projects in the wake of the adoption of the LA River Master Plan. It provides an important first step to hopefully many other improvements and opportunities to incorporate community expression along the riverway. And I have to say, our office has been consistently impressed with the design team and public works staff's care, diligence, and commitment to making sure the pavilion is reflective of what the community wants to see. The feedback from multiple community meetings and workshops directly informed the chosen landscape imagery as community members expressed an interest in a design that reflected the surrounding natural landscape and history. And I think what they've come up with is a fitting tribute to the river, the headwaters, the history of the land, the beauty of our local natural resources, and our diverse communities and their values. So I'd just like to say thank you to the community members who shared their thoughts and visions for the project, the design team, our public works staff, our city colleagues for their support and engagement throughout the permitting and review process, and of course, the commission for your time and consideration. So thank you, and I'll hand it back to you, Tammy.
Thank you, Sophie. And I believe we also have someone from the county who will be speaking on behalf of the project.
Yes, hi, thank you, Tammy. Can everybody hear me? This is Seta Marjanian from LA County Department of Public Works. Hope you're all doing well today. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of Public Works today and before the commission for hopefully an approval and final approval on this project. So understanding the framework from the last time that we did meet, we did tailor the presentation to highlight some of the aspects of with regards to the architectural element, the landscaping features, and I do quickly want to summarize the extensive community engagement efforts that we put forth on this project. Last fall in 2021, we did have a digital public engagement tool commissioned with the help of our consultant team. We gathered a representative sample of about 500 community members in the area, and the survey did cover a few topics such as their demographics, their lifestyle activities, community sentiment, and how aware people were of the river, because sometimes it's tough to understand that you're only a few blocks away and you don't know that the river is actually there. And we also asked for their input on the headwaters area itself. And the overall feedback that we did receive from the community was that they did want a high priority for new open space, and it is a high of 2022, we actually had a workshop with Canoga Park High School, which is adjacent to the headwaters. It was a virtual event due to the circumstances at the time, but we did host that workshop and engage the local students just to introduce the project to them, have them learn from our design team, and then have their contributions and ideas for what they envision at the headwaters for the LA River. And then lastly, we did have 3 community engagement events, one in August and November of 2021 last year. Both of those were virtual. And then we also had one in May of 2022, just a few months back, that was in person, which we were really excited for. We did have a hands-on component for the main facade element. We had a sample of the woven tapestry that the community was able to touch, feel, and have an up-close look at. And the attendees were able to vote on their preference, as Sophie had mentioned. So we're really excited that the main facade element that you're going to see on your screens today is representative of the community's feedback and input. I do want to thank Supervisor Kuehl's office once again, and Sophie particularly, for being able to accommodate on such short notice to come out and give a support statement. So we really appreciate that. And thank you again to the supervisor's office and the city offices for their assistance during the development and permitting for this project. We couldn't have done it without their coordination. I do want to say thank you again. And if Tammy, you're okay, we can pass it on to the design team for the presentation.
Yes, thank you. Tenshel, could you please unmute yourself and share your screen? You have 10 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here with my fellow partner here at Frank's office, Craig Webb. Just bringing up presentation right now. Okay, thank you, everybody. I want to just give a little brief overview of kind of to relocate everybody on the project. I won't belabor with the full presentation that we gave last time, but to orient everybody where we are, we're in the San Fernando Valley here for this project. Canoga Park specifically, we are on the north side of the Los Angeles River at the intersection of Alabama Avenue and Bassett Street, the north side of the river, just to the east of Canoga Park High School. The project that's being discussed today is a small access pavilion to the Los Angeles River Bikeway. It consists of two single-use restrooms with storage areas, shade canopy, and a main facade design that marks the location and the access point to the river from this intersection, including a robust landscape design that includes lid development, including bioretention, and a much larger plan that will come into phase 2 in terms of water treatment and water quality at this location, which has a rare opportunity to treat oversurface water that goes directly into the Los Angeles River. The comments from the last meeting are really primarily addressing the pavilion and its overall material palette. So in review, we went back and we looked at the community input that we had received in all of the meetings that SETA reviewed, took a look at the design. We reviewed the design with the council district, supervisor district, our client of public works, and also Frank took a very careful look at the design itself. We did make one adjustment in the color. It's a smaller tweak in the color of the pavilion, but really what I think we found is that perhaps we didn't provide enough of a contextual description of how the pavilion is meant to set within the entire palette, including the landscape and the existing LA River channel itself. So we would really like to focus on that to bring it clear the total composition of not just the pavilion, but the entire project itself. So on here, we want to kind of put together all on one sheet, the complete visual palette of the project. So on the top, you do see the architectural materials, which consist of stainless steel roofing. It does consist of an exterior white wall paint and a stainless steel standing seam roof. The white paint was adjusted to slightly warmer hue to be a slight adjustment and better coordination, in our opinion, with the other hues of the composite material palette. On the left, you can see the site materials on the ground really bring the warmth to the entire kind of color palette. You have cast in place concretes, some stone fines, decorative aggregates, and some boulders that bring the earth tones to the overall composition of the project. On the bottom, you can see the planting palette, which has a main structure of greens, browns, and gray greens to bring the color base to it in congruence with the architectural materials. And then it has several plants that bring a color pop to it that will bloom on different seasonal rotations. And then on the right is the signage, which is a deep blue color, which is in alignment and what's been prescribed by the Los Angeles River Master Plan, now adopted by the county, which we're incorporating here in this access pavilion. So the main facade design, which is the main feature of the project, the design that is shown was vetted with the community and shown at a public community meeting to gain support. And it really is meant to embody the key elements, the environmental elements of the San Fernando Valley, which we are identifying as the Santa Monica Mountains, the LA River, which you can see that runs through the middle of the design, and some of the early agrarian roots of the San Fernando Valley that are in the foreground of the design. The final selected option, as I said, went through a robust process of community engagement to arrive at the solution, was shown publicly last May and received strong positive support from the local community as a representation of San Fernando Valley and their local community. We wanted to show a few before and afters, I think, just to have an understanding of the color palette. So this is the existing condition. The site is right here in the middle. It's at the end, Alabama, you see kind of going beyond. So the color palette from this side is the color of the concrete, kind of a whitish concrete with existing trees, some of which will be relocated within the existing design. Here you can see in situ the proposed design. Color of the white has been adjusted slightly. It is designed so that it gives contrasting background to the mile marker, the deep blue. You can see mile marker 50.8, which is an identifying element to give people a location as to where they are along the river. This pavilion also provides shade. You can see an access point in the middle. This is not meant to be kind of a regional kind of gathering point. It's meant to be an access point for the local community itself. Above, you can see the main facade, which gives the representation. Its height, again, for review is roughly 34 feet in height, so it's within scale of a local residential community, typically, but slightly higher than maybe some of the peaks of the single-family houses, so that it has the correct prominence of an access point. You can see that the selected color for the bathroom blocks also is contiguous, and it integrates itself to the existing color of the river and the bike path itself. So when viewed from the other part of the other side of the river, it will appear integrated into the current existing condition. In the future, we hope, obviously, there are other improvements that are proposed as part of the Headwaters area project that will increase the amount of green area. And we'll show you how that on the street view is meant to integrate with a more robust landscape design. Sorry, here I'm having trouble. This is the existing view from the intersection of Alabama and Bassett Street. You can see here the oversurface runoff that goes directly into the river and what the existing condition looks like. This is the revised view, and we really realized that we needed to give you the full context of what the image and the view and the context palette is. So this goes from project end to project end, so you could see the new proposed landscape design and low impact development improvements that are proposed as part of the project, and how they are in balance with the earth tones, the ground cover, and also the architectural elements that are selected that include the stainless steel woven main facade, the stainless steel roof, and the slightly warmer color of the white buildings that are the background buildings for the landscape that is behind it, and also serve as a background, the mile marker identifying the location of the pavilion along the river itself. Finally, this is just a plan, just shows you kind of the progress where we're at. The plans for the project are complete. We're going through the process of permitting and plan check, well through the B permit process right now, and obviously coming to Department of Cultural Affairs as part of the clearance to review the design and make sure we gain any final approvals from that. With that, I'll go back into this picture to this image here, and we are available for any questions.
Thank you, Tensha, Craig, Sophie, and Seta for your presentation. Commissioner Ho, you're going to be leaving in a few seconds. Do you have a quick question or comment?
I do not. Thank you.
You don't. Okay, thank you. So then I'll open up the floor to fellow commissioners. Commissioner Jefferson, do you have any questions and comments?
No, not particular. I just think that the trees are really critical for this working. I really do. So anything they can do to make sure that they, one, move forward with the tree plantings, and two, that they're buying trees mature enough to grow quickly, not years and years and years from now, is important. Otherwise, it just looks like a great big metal sign got put up in the middle of the sky.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. Tensha or the design team, do you have any comments?
I think the intention, the point is well taken, that if immature trees are bought for this, that the design really doesn't work. It wouldn't work for a number of years. I think the intention is to purchase a majority of mature trees and fairly mature ground cover, so that on day one, the design intent we're showing you here today is really the design intent at the time of opening, or within the first year, that the community is getting the design we're presenting in front of you today. Agree with you, the integration of the architecture in the landscape is crucial to this. They don't work independently, one without the other.
Thank you. Commissioner Jimenez, do you have any questions or comments?
Not right now. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Giardo.
Can I see the original image that's similar to what you're showing here that we saw at the first presentation so I can compare the two?
Thank you.
Sure. I have to find it for a second. Give me 1 second. All right. Bear with me.
While he's looking, I couldn't remember if the last time we brought up the anti-graffiti approaches for this space.
I think we did. I think we were.
Also, if it would be helpful, we had quite a lot of notes on this project. I would like them to point out any of the notes that we had provided and how they were implemented, because I see almost no change.
I understand your point. The review that I said is that there was a thorough evaluation of this, especially with all of the stakeholders at hand. Frank himself to review. We looked at several colors and we believe this is the appropriate composition. We just, as you can see in the image that we showed you before, we don't think we showed you enough context so that you could understand the compositional balance between all of the different elements of the project, which is really the point we're trying to make. The updated image that shows you the complete composition, which we do believe provides the right balance between neutral materials and colors, silvers, grays, whites, and the color of the landscape and the earth tones of the ground colors, boulders, rocks, and other ground cover.
So am I hearing that you're trying, the architecture is supposed to recede and the landscape is supposed to be sort of.
The architecture of the bathroom blocks is meant to recede. Obviously on the channel side, it's meant to integrate it with the appearance on that side. It allows the main facade to have its own presence here in composition with the landscape.
And I think that the neutrality of the lower part of the composition is really deferential to the image above, which is the main event that we're trying to emphasize. So the colors blending with the color of the concrete of the river is intentional. So the tapestry piece above is more prominent.
So back to my original question. I mean, the way I'm seeing, if I'm hearing this, you really haven't implemented much of what we had suggested, but just have relied on that. You're saying that you had some community outreach and the community said this was okay, so you don't see any need for any major change.
No, I would say we relied on the community outreach, but we went back architecturally and we looked at this with Frank. And Frank believes, we looked at a series of colors, that this is the best composition, is that the white building is the best composition for this location. We did consider, we heard you to consider colors, and we don't believe that that is the best response for the project in the composition in this location.
I don't believe that was the only note. I went to school right behind there at Canoga Park High School. I'm very familiar with this area. And I know that very street. And as a matter of fact, you had some folks reach back to me. I wanted to put you in touch with a community activist to perhaps give some idea of the history of that area. And I just don't see any significant change to what you presented.
This is Seta with LA County Public Works. Thank you, Tencho, for the presentation. Thank you, Commissioner Vincent, for your comments. I did also just want to chime in and say that in addition to what you see here on the project, we are working with the Department of Arts and Culture at County to hopefully install some art pieces along the trail in the future. That is not part of the project scope at this point, but it's being worked on. There's a lot of engagement that needs to take place with tribal groups and the community, and there's a civic art element vetting process, and that's a separate item. But that will be something that we are entertaining along the trail side. So that's in addition to what you're seeing here. So I think that that's more so maybe part of the vision of what the commission has. But I do want to also chime in on what Tencho mentioned with regards to the color palette and the scheme and just how everything is very natural in that area with regards to the muted tones and how this complements that.
I mean, if your intent is to have this pavilion recede, I think you guys are accomplishing that. I'm curious about the design on top.
Yeah.
Is that a direct representation of like what is beyond in the landscape, you know, that you see? I'm not familiar with the site. So is that the mountains beyond? And that's very typical of Canoga.
Correct. It's not a direct representation of what you're looking on beyond. It is a composite of starting with a composite of a series of historical photos and then editing to, as I said, kind of identify the key features, environmental features of the San Fernando Valley, which include the mountains as a backdrop, very strong backdrop, the Los Angeles River, which runs through it, and some of the early agrarian history. We looked at several ideas for the design, and there were a couple that we put forth in the community meeting, and this is the one that most people were attracted to at the community meeting.
And that's what you're featuring more so than the actual bathroom structures and the canopy above, right? That's
Those are meant to be more simple and functional. They were meant to provide access points along the Elliott Park and amenities in terms of having access to bathrooms, and also shade as part of the San Fernando Valley. Is obviously quite hot during many of the summer months.
Okay. I think those are my questions. I think Commissioner Garrett, I don't know if your questions were answered, or Commissioner Vincent, if you felt your questions were answered.
My question was answered. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
Commissioner Scarfano, can I just add that, you know, I can see all the value in this, if particularly from the point of view of if you're coming from a long distance and you're trying to figure out where's that 50.8 mile marker. There's like this thing in the sky that somehow or another you see from a distance. And so anything that we can do to stress to someone, you know, people bring us designs all the time for things, and then they show us the landscape around it, and, you know, this is what we think we're going to put up, and then somebody changes it and it doesn't happen. This case is one where these two things are integral, and I would never feel like I could approve it unless the two things happen, because otherwise it looks, and because we're not seeing the actual sign itself, the actual artwork, the sense of how well it will read depending on how close or far away you are from it is not within our hindsight, within our vision. So I'm comfortable in this instance to say, okay, I'm gonna trust the community about this and their feeling about it, and wanting this sort of neutral site that blends in with the river, but still has this greenery around it. And yet you can see this thing from afar, and it has a sense of the mountains that are way, way off in the distance. But if someone along the line comes back and says, well, we really only have enough money for this sign, and we really only have enough money for a tree that's 5 feet tall, I would be the first one to want to come back and go, then we wouldn't have approved it.
Understood, Commissioner. Maybe Seta, you could talk about the current state of the project and the budgetary process we've gone through to confirm the affordability of the project in its current state.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Tencho. Thank you, Commissioner, for your comments. This is a project that is being led by the Department of Public Works, and we are funding it with our flood control district funds. That is all secured for this project. The budget is about $5.1 million for all of the improvements. We do have a construction timeframe of about 9 months, which we're hoping to start sometime early spring and summer next year. So as far as commitment and security, we have that secured on behalf of Public Works. So what you're visualizing and what you're seeing and what the project team has presented, in addition to those commentaries about the landscaping and the mature trees being presented and planted, all of that and what you see visually right now is what we're hoping to visualize. Again, this is a project stemming from the recently adopted LA River Master Plan by the Board of Supervisors just a few months back. This is the first type of project that's introducing a gateway utilizing those standards. Those are the dark blues that you see for the river mile marker, the educational signage, and the wayfinding with the blue and the grays. That's part of the LA River Master Plan guidelines themselves. So we're hoping to set a precedence here for implementing it the correct way and hope for future pavilions and other access and entry points along the entire 51 miles over the next 25 years.
Specifically, Commissioner, the allocated budget mentioned includes everything that you're seeing on the screen right now.
I understand.
For $5.1 million, I would assume that the trees that we're seeing on the screen will be this mature.
Correct. That's the intent.
Correct. Yeah. And I will
know
add,
that's the intent, but is that going to be the case?
Yes.
Is that
So
in the specifications, I should say? Is that going to be in the specifications?
yeah, it is in the specifications. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Hens. I'm the landscape architect on the project. One of the really great things here is there are some mature trees that exist. And as Tencho mentioned, we are transplanting those. So we're able to keep some of those really large species that you're seeing in this image, which is great. And then we have very large trees specified, and they are in the specification.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, Jessica.
I have one other question, if I might.
Okay.
How is access to the single occupancy restrooms?
How is it? So there, I'll show you up the plan here. The view that you were just looking at is from Alabama. So the access to the two restrooms is off the shaded canopy area both here.
I don't mean walking access. I mean, how do they get in, and how do they? I guess what kind of security? There's a significant homeless population in that area, and I'm wondering, is there any provision like at a Starbucks where somebody kind of barricades themselves in there, or is there at night an opportunity to lock it? That's the kind of access that I'm asking about.
Sure, maybe I could ask. That's obviously an operations and maintenance issue. I can ask Seta to address that.
Yes. Thank you, Tencho. Yes, I was just about to chime in. So as I mentioned during the last meeting, because I think that same comment was brought up, we are working on a robust O&M manual. It has been drafted. Some of the comments that you mentioned, for example, like the anti-graffiti, that's already been incorporated in there. And we are working on implementing site security. It is the county's responsibility to produce infrastructure, build it, and absolutely maintain it 100%. So that O&M manual is in progress. We're planning on meeting and working closely with the city to make sure we have the appropriate services and outreach provided for this and other amenities along the trail. So we do have the appropriate context, and we are working on it.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Vincent?
You said adequate security. Does that mean that there's going to be a security guard there during operational hours? Is that what you're saying?
Sure. Again, I think we mentioned this last time around too, that we're trying to focus the discussion on the architectural elements and the landscaping. So we did note those, and we don't have any of those items finalized. They're all in discussion because everything has a cost associated with it and roles and responsibilities that are going to be part of both that manual, both our agreements with the city and any contracts that we do have in place. So we have all those noted. So Commissioner Vincent, you are correct. During the last meeting, we did have extensive comments from your commission, both on the landscape and architectural elements, as well as other items such as, you know, the people experiencing homelessness in the area, the site security. So we do have all of those noted.
Thank you. I just want to note for the record that we are going to lose Commissioner Gallardo in half an hour, and we have several other items we have to get through. So,
so I just have one last very quick, what I hope is one quick question. And maybe we can go up to a closer view on the scrim up at the top. I call it the billboard picture. Have you, one, can it be spray painted on? In other words, can someone come up there with graffiti paint and spray on whatever they want to spray on it?
It's pretty high off the ground. I suppose if they had a big ladder, they could do that, but it's made out of stainless steel. And so it's cleanable if that does. I think it's unlikely somebody's going to get up that high, but
no, I would think you should think it is likely.
So they figure out how to do that, but it's definitely cleanable because it's made out of stainless.
Yeah, so that's my question. One, as you guys are developing that budget, it really needs to have a plan for not only just simple cleaning, but removing graffiti or someone else's desire to paint their own mural on this so that it is exactly what you intend for it to be, because I see them do it on freeway signs. We should assume that they will be able to get up there. And my second is, I don't remember if we asked this question, is it lit at night so that it is visible or not?
It is intended to be lit at night. Exact hours to be determined, obviously, in conjunction with the neighborhood.
Sure.
It's intended to be lit at night from the top. So we're observing night sky rules.
Yeah, and I think in previous presentations, we've used this technique at the Eisenhower Memorial in Washington, D.C., a much bigger scale. The image reads quite bright and beautiful at night when it's lit, because the stainless steel kind of lit from the edge really starts to glow and articulate.
No, I can only imagine. I can think that's true. The difference in neighborhoods in terms of where it's located, and so that's what's causing me to ask that question. Lastly, I'm assuming that across the top of it, you're putting in some sort of that kind of material that keeps the birds from deciding to sit on it.
Yeah,
Correct.
the spikes.
Correct. We have, right now we have specified within the system a electronic bird mitigation issue. So it's electronic system. That's part of the budget that's already been accomplished. The most effective tool is a falcon. But the most effective that we use on many of our buildings. But right now for this one, we have the electronic mitigation on all the horizontal steel, the lighting bar at the top, and the horizontal elements underneath the canopy as well is included within the scope of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think, are there any more questions or comments, or can we take a motion? I think we've heard from all the commissioners. So on that note, is there a motion to approve the Headwater Pavilion location on the LA River Gateway, Canoga Park for final approval? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jimenez. So we'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Gallardo, how do you vote?
No.
Commissioner Vincent,
Abstain.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jimenez.
Abstain.
Okay,
Just a note for clarification. Hi, this is Josh, the city attorney. You can't really abstain. It's your
Right.
vote's going to be recorded as yes.
Oh, okay, then no.
okay, I vote yes. So we have 5 commissioners, right? So we have 3. Josh, did you tally the votes, or Daniel? I know
Well,
we have 2 yeses,
yeah.
and I don't know how
Vincent, are you voting yes or no?
No.
We have 3 no's and 2 yeses.
3 no's and 2 yeses.
Okay, so that doesn't pass. So then what do we do? Ask?
It's probably worth articulating why we're saying no. So they'll
Yes.
understand.
Okay, so Commissioner Vincent, can you express why you're saying no?
I would have liked to have seen the comments that were made at the previous meeting at least considered, if not implemented. And they were just basically ignored.
Okay, and Commissioner Jimenez, what is your reason for voting?
I concur with Commissioner Vincent.
Okay. Okay, same. And Commissioner Gallardo?
None of the changes or suggestions that were made at the previous meeting were seemed to be earnestly considered and alternatives even presented. That's why I'm voting no.
For what it's worth, I'm voting yes because I heard them say that they considered them. Came back and said, after all things considered, we think you're wrong. I'm going to trust the community agrees with this thing. And finally, this would have played out a heck of a lot better if someone had simply brought forward the material that the design is on. To hear that there is an Eisenhower signage somewhat similar to this in existence. Someone had brought us the photo of the thing. Right now, we're looking at a rendering of something that frankly looks like it's going to disappear in the sky. And so I'm buying into the idea that you said the community said they love it. I'm going to let the community have what it loves. Even though we said what we had to say, they took it back. They said they love it. That's the reason why I'm willing to say yes, even though I'm so strongly wishing they had brought forward the rendering of the thing, because this thing is not playing out well on a piece of paper the way it is. And especially to know that one exists, they could have just brought us that sampling of how it works elsewhere and how wonderful it is.
Commission President, may I make a suggestion?
Yes, that would be great.
Could
Daniel.
we, if the commission were willing to revisit the vote and give the opportunity for the folks to come back and present to the commission, given the concerns that were raised today, that might be a viable alternative, so that we can all move forward and ultimately decide if this is the value that this brings.
Sure. So how do I mean, I agree with Commissioner Jefferson. I apologize. I was not at the last commission meeting, so I wasn't there for the comments, but it does sound like they did address some of the comments and they have stand firm in their decision, and the community supports it. So that's also why I voted yes, but I do think it'd be helpful when you guys come back, you show the lighting, you just show us all of those.
May I ask, you keep referring to the community, how many people were there to review the design? How many community members showed up, and how many times was it presented to them?
We did have 3 community meetings, 2 of them being virtual, 1 of them in person. It was shown during the virtual meetings. I can look up those tallies, and if that's the information you're looking for, we can get them. I want to say at the in-person community meeting where they actually felt the woven tapestry and were able to touch and see the feel, I would say we're about 50.
Is this the same one as that's on the Frank Gehry Eisenhower Memorial? Is it that approach?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So,
Okay, and it may be the design that's there. So I would agree with Daniel. If you all could come back showing us that. I mean, I just went over to my other computer and punched up, and I brought up the Eisenhower Memorial, and I can see it's on the outside of the Frank Gehry building. And the design that's in that that's on that particular mesh, it's much clearer actually what it's supposed to be doing. It's this particular design is having a hard time reading in what we're sending. And then at least we can have a conversation around this and the material, because I can see what it is you're talking about doing, looking at that building, but it has a building behind it, not a blue sky sitting up there with nothing there. And that's what's probably throwing this off, but I do get the concept.
and the lighting at night, I think.
Oh, yeah, I
the
mean, there's a
Eisenhower
whole nother thing going on with that one.
Yeah.
And in 2 seconds, if that had been what this is supposed to look like, then it would have been, will this rendering, is it leaving enough space in the art to give the effect that you're trying to give? Because right now it's dependent upon the blue sky. We didn't even look at it as to what happens when it's a gray sky behind it, etc. Sorry.
So in an interest of time, because we are going to lose a commissioner in 5 minutes, Daniel, what do? We just say that they come back then for the next Daniel
Well,
and
actually,
Josh.
I'll ask city attorney, how do we do this?
Yeah, I think we need a new motion just to reflect the dialogue I just heard. So far, we've got a motion that has passed that has denied this, right? So it is not approved. I think we need a new motion that would, if the motion passes, would undo the denial and would say, we want to come back and reconsider the last open piece of this, right, that we considered today. So
I'll make the motion because it doesn't undo the denial. I'll make a motion that they come back to us with a more detailed rendering of all I can call it right now is the billboard imagery and how it's going to work and how it's going to look, so that we can make a decision about whether to approve it.
I would like to append that with them reviewing the comments that were made in the previous denial, and see at least taking some consideration into or an option of implementing some of those comments.
Is that it? That was the second? So do we just do a quick vote and then hopefully?
Sorry, can I just make sure that to go in a little bit more with Commissioner Vincent's request, that I can't remember if that included more detail on community feedback. Was that in those sets of comments that we made at the last meeting? I cannot remember. Because at this point, that's what I would need, is more detail on what the community outreach was and what the feedback was from community. Thank you.
So Josh, do we take a vote, right?
Let's clarify, Commissioner Jefferson articulated a nice motion, but I think part of it got lost. So if she could articulate that again, make sure we all understand it, then we're all set, I think.
We want them to come back with a more detailed rendering of the signage above, as well as more information with regard to the community comments and how they took into account the comments that were previously presented to them with regards to this. That's what I think I'm hearing.
I second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Vincent. Okay, so now I'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Jimenez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Gallardo,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So we will hopefully see you guys next month. So we have to move on to the matching streetlights. We have, we have 4 items, one on Gaffney Street, one on Fredona, one on Waverly. I know those 3 are matching, and the 4th one on Mohawk is non-existing. Am I correct, Tammy? Can you give us a really quick presentation we have in our packet, what the streetlights look like? And maybe we can do a quick vote. I think we can take all 3 on consent, right? And the other one vote separately. So
Sure. Do you want me to present each streetlight individually?
Well, if the 3 are matching, I would show, we all know that it'll match the one, and then the non-existing. And then because we're going to lose Commissioner Gallardo. Are you still there? Did we lose her?
We lost her, we can't vote. Oh, we can still vote, can't we?
We don't have
There
quorum.
are,
though.
there
We
are
lost
4
quorum.
commissioners. Commissioner Vincent, Commissioner Jimenez, Commissioner
need-
Jefferson. and
yeah, we only
Commissioner
need
Scarpino.
4.
You only need
Oh,
4.
we do.
So
Oh, awesome. Sorry about that, you guys. It's been a long day and I'm on lots of lung infection medicine. Okay, well, that's great. Can you guys stay another couple minutes? Everybody okay?
Yeah, we'll get it done.
Okay, super. Thanks. Okay,
Go
go ahead, Tammy. If you can keep this brief.
Okay, great. Sorry. So there is a little correction on the agenda. Item D is a no existing streetlight, BR 004661. I apologize for the mistake. And so BR 004644, BR 206021, and BR 004358 are all matching. And do you want to take that on consent and I'll present on the non-matching?
Yes, so we'll take item A, B, and C on consent.
So moved.
Thank you,
Second.
Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner Vincent Jefferson. We'll do a quick roll call vote. Commissioner Jimenez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
and I, Commissioner Scarfano, vote yes. So those 3 are approved. Tammy, if you want to, we'll take the item D, Mohawk Street. Do we have a motion to approve? That's a
move to approve.
non-existing. Thank you, Commissioner Vincent. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, great. We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Jimenez,
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So those 4 are approved. Now we have 4 small AGFs, correct?
We have
That is the,
we have 3 AGFs. They are replacement poles. There already is a pole there, but I will have the applicant present on that. They are the same poles proposed at 3 separate locations. Nancy, are you here?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Could you please share your screen?
I can.
while she's doing that, can we just clarify that these are item 4, A, B, and C on the special agenda?
yes, sorry I was going to do that. So these are items,
Glad someone's awake. Thank you.
apologize. Okay.
No apologies.
These are items A, B, and C on the architectural special agenda meeting.
Okay, you guys ready for me?
Yep, go ahead, Nancy.
Okay, I'm going to put these all together to make it easier for you. All of these sites are existing Crown Castle owned poles in the public right of way. Each of them contains a small wireless facility that we are upgrading. All of the poles will be removed and replaced with a new pole, and all the new poles for each of the sites is the same. So the first one on my screen, as you can see, I pulled up the photo simulations for this. So we are replacing the pole, and we're going to have a box on the side and an antenna up top. This is going to be for a 4G.
I'm sorry, Nancy. I'm
and
sorry to
5G.
interrupt.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Daniel. We're not able to see your screen. So I don't know if you're able to share your screen, or
Oh.
Tammy, you could bring them up so the commissioners can see the screen. That would be great. Thank you.
Nancy,
Sorry,
can you
I
share
thought you
your
could see
screen
it.
or is it not working?
I thought I was sharing my screen. It doesn't look like it is working.
Okay, let me pull it up. Oh, it says that you are currently sharing. Can
Tammy,
anybody
maybe you,
else?
can you pull it up?
Okay, okay. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Not yet. It still says Nancy Sheridan has started
Yeah.
screen sharing. So Nancy, if you can stop sharing so that Tammy can share, that would be great. Thank you.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we can run through one of the presentations. I'll go through this one. Nancy, do you want me to stop on any particular page? This one, maybe? Nancy? Oh, I think we lost her. Nancy, are you there?
While we're waiting for Nancy, I want to thank everyone for enduring a very long meeting today.
It was okay. We did do what we had to do.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be long.
Nancy, you're muted.
No,
The
they're all
context.
commercial areas. They're all commercial areas. We're not near any residential.
Mm. Okay, do we have any questions or comments from the fellow commissioners? Commissioner Vincent, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Thank you. Commissioner Jimenez?
No questions.
Okay, how about Commissioner Jefferson? You're muted.
My comment a long time ago was move to approve.
Okay. All right. Do we have a second? I have no questions and comments either. So do we have a second to approve items A, B, and C of the renovated poll?
Yes, I move.
Thank you.
to
Okay.
second.
Super. Commissioner Jimenez, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Vincent,
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Jefferson, thank you. And I also vote yes. So motion is approved. I think the last item is the general manager's report, right? And so
Yes, thank you.
Daniel.
Thank you to our staff for today. Thank you to all of you for your ongoing commitment and your patience today as we continue to move through some complicated items. And I'm happy to see where we're at this point. So to start, I just want to actually hand this over to Ben Espinoza for a moment to give you a few updates on the Public Space Activation Fund and to introduce one of our new team members that's going to be managing the programs.
Hi, Daniel. Good afternoon. Thank you. And very good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you for giving me a quick moment to give you a quick update on our Public Space Activation Fund grant program. We just launched a new cycle last month, so I wanted to give the commission a heads up that we will continue to see proposed and pitched for your consideration a series of outdoor community focused events in the coming months. What's new this season is that you'll find projects proposed under two major thematic categories. I just wanted to flag for you. You'll see projects this year kind of revolving around earth-friendly creative neighborhood action projects. So we're looking for pop-ups and festivals that somehow instill elements of promoting cultural health and healing, green concept beautification, resource preservation, and/or environmental awareness. And we also have a second bucket of proposals we expect to propose for everybody, falling under our international festivals and intercultural foods category. We're looking for pop-up events and festivals that embrace a multicultural awareness and promote opportunities for cross-cultural learning. We're hoping to support under this category more community picnics, pop-up performance events, outdoor food and food truck festivals where we're paying musicians, dancers, and even chefs for a range of creative enhancement projects, including activities in farmers markets, which is something we're going to be focused on involving in our grant program. As part of this as well, I wanted to introduce our newest addition to the grants division at DCA, and his name is Armando Smith. He's our newest person who will be taking a lead role in helping our Public Space Activation Fund applicants, walking them through the process and presenting projects here in commission meetings. Armando, if you're here, I'd like you to take a quick second and say hello to the commission. You're already getting a round of applause. Are you there?
Well, thank you. You're too kind. Hi, I'm Armando, and I'm just excited to be here and help with the new Public Activation Fund. And I can already say that our intercultural category in particular is already very popular, and we're getting a lot of submissions for that.
Absolutely. I'm very, very thrilled that Armando is here to assist. We plucked him away from his recent post as a Getty Fellow at the Guild Museum in Arcadia, where he coordinated a range of public programs there. So I know our Public Space Activation Fund applicants are going to be in great hands. So that's all I have. Wonderful to see everyone, and you'll see more of us in the coming months.
That's great, Ben. That's so exciting.
Thank you, Ben, and really excited to have you, Armando.
And Armando, yeah.
I just want to share with everybody, continuing to do great work across the city through art centers and our theaters. We did, and I want to thank Commissioner Vincent for attending our Sun Valley Dia de los Muertos event. We had tremendous participation of Dia de los Muertos across our art centers and across some of our grantees as well. So it was a really wonderful representation across the city. We also wanted to share that we're moving forward on renovations to begin both at the Madrid Theater and the Tosco Theater. So we're really excited to bring those up to speed over the next year and a half to 2 years. So very excited about that. And then lastly, just wanted to share that we have announced our recipients of our City of Los Angeles Individual Master Artist Project Grant Program, our COLA IMAP Awards. So these are folks that are mid-career artists, or they're actually master artists, who will produce a new body of work with grants of $10,000 each. And the works will premiere in the spring of 2023, which we will look forward to seeing. And with that, I will say thank you to everybody for a lovely afternoon we all had the opportunity to spend together, and hand it back over to you.
Great,
Can I just jump in and applaud the fact that Proposition 28 passed and arts in education in the public schools. Thank you to our state.
Yes.
This is a huge.
That's huge.
Huge. It's absolutely huge. Thank you for recognizing that.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah, and I think the discussion today was really great on all levels. So.
Yeah, don't feel bad. There have been times when we've had meetings that went till 5:30, and they were because we had not a lot of projects, but they were complicated.
Yeah,
this
these were
one
complicated.
did exactly what it needed to do, and
yeah, I just wish I was feeling better. I'm like,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm a lot better than I was a few days ago, so at least I can talk. So, but thank you all. And on that note, the next commission meeting deadline's November 23rd, and I think we can adjourn with my asthma inhaler.
You said November 23rd?
That's the deadline for submissions, but our next commission meeting is December 14th.
Oh, you scared me. Thank you.
And then we also, can talk about the luncheon too. We have the luncheon coming up. So that the date for that, Daniel, so everyone has it. It's December 7th.
December 7th, and we'll follow up. We'll
Okay.
follow up with you all as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we can do that offline. Thank you all so much. Tam,